for seasons of play, and the even more elusive natural hat trick, 3 consecutive goals. Tonight, the Flyers put that record on the line against the speedy Winnipeg Jets, making their only Philadelphia visit of the year. That's Flyers-Jets hockey coming up next on Prism. Prism Sports presents Philadelphia Flyers hockey. Tonight, live from the Spectrum, it's the Flyers and the Winnipeg Jets.
Good evening and welcome to the Spectrum, everybody, for tonight's game against the Winnipeg Jets. I'm Bobby Taylor, along with the Flyers coach, Mike Keenan. And Mike, last night was a well-played and a hard-fought 1 point.
It sure was. We were extremely happy about the workmanship that our club put in last night in Buffalo. Tough building to play in. And also, I thought with a little bit of better fate, we could have come away with the 2 points.
You know, Winnipeg's the type of team that nobody knows anything about until after they leave pretty well, because we don't see them that often. But there's a #1 star out there by the name of Howardchuk that you've had first-hand information on.
I had the opportunity of coaching Dale Howardchuk back when he was a junior, and at that time he was an underage junior in terms of playing at the junior level because of his young age. He was 14 and 15, and at that particular time he set scoring records for our team, so he was pretty impressive at a very young age. And obviously in Cornwall he set records in Major Junior A, and then being the Calder Cup winner in the National Hockey League didn't hurt in his initial season either. He's pretty good, talented player, and I expect a lot from him.
Would you put extra attention on him tonight?
Not particularly extra attention, but we're well aware of his offensive talents.
What would you expect out of Winnipeg tonight?
I think you're going to see a team that has pretty good speed, and they're going to try to utilize their speed. I think you started opening up by saying they're unknown. I think we're a little unknown as well, and they probably don't know what to expect from us. But we have some speed as well, and I think we'll be able to counter that.
Well, Mike, you know, there's another guy on the other side of the bench that's just getting into his second year coaching. That's Barry Long, and we asked him what was the toughest adjustment for him becoming a coach.
I think the biggest adjustment really is the fact that I have to reprimand some of the players that I was former roommates with, and I've become a little tougher, a little harder over the year and a half that I've been here, but I'm trying to earn the respect of the hockey team and the hockey players, and trying to treat them with fairness, and I think it's working out very well.
What type of a team would you like to have on the ice?
I think I'd like to have a physical team, a team that can play any style of hockey. We have a very good skating hockey club right now, but we have a little trouble in the grinding department. And, of course, to find a 50-goal scorer, which are not too many around. But we have a good group of youngsters, a good hockey club at this point, but our weakness is the inability to play any style of game that we happen to be upon.
Is there a tendency to gear yourself to the type of team that the Edmonton Oilers are?
Well, they copied from us from the old WHA days, so Glenn Sather says, but yes, it would be, but the 5 players that they have there, the Gretzkys and Currys and Andersons and Coffeys and Messiers, there's not too many of them around, but just the abilities, I would like to mold it more like the Islanders and the Oilers.
In other words, you'd like to have a Patrick Division team. Is there that much a difference between the two divisions?
I don't really think so. Maybe the competition is a little stiffer in our division for the simple reason that we're closer the teams. Los Angeles, again, is starting to come on a little bit, but the Oilers are a good, solid club, so we're very much the same in our division.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, Barry.
Thank you very much.
Barry Long, the coach of the Winnipeg Jets, and for their views of tonight's game, let's go down to Eddie Van Imp and Gene Hart.
Things are going well, Eddie, for the Flyers. They're 3-2-1 on the road after that big tie in Buffalo. They're unbeaten at home. And most fans would say, oh, boy, that's money in the bank because they have their next 6 games on Spectrum ice. But Mike Keenan is not that enthusiastic.
Well, a lot of times when you have a long homestand, like 6 games, Gene, a lot of times the players can get a little bit complacent. And you kind of look ahead and say, gee whiz, we've got 6 home games. Maybe we should win 5 of them. And all of a sudden you get into that homestand and you find you lose the first two, and all of a sudden you're struggling to get yourself back to 500.
You hate to lose any at home in that stretch.
You sure do, especially in this division.
Flyers have given up only 16 even-strength goals in 10 games. That's remarkable with all the kids. And we're talking about the great goaltending and the defense really up there, but it's a team game, and you have to give praise to the forwards because they must be doing their job.
When you're talking the kind of defense the Flyers have played in their first 10 games, you're talking basically a whole team concept. I think the coaching staff has done an excellent job as far as discipline is concerned. With those forwards coming back, Gene, allows the defenseman to stand up and challenge the opposition at the blue line, and that makes the game an awful lot easier. And as you mentioned, the defensemen have been playing tough in front of their own net, and the goaltending's been outstanding.
And they're hitting people.
They are.
And hitting them hard, and I know you smile about that.
I do. Hospodar's had 2 or 3 real good, solid body checks this year already.
That's the setup, and we'll be back with the start of the game after this.
They're one of the NBA's most promising young teams, the Dallas Mavericks. See them clash with the 76ers tomorrow night at 7:30. Mark Aguirre and rookie Sam Perkins lead the Mavs against the Sixers. Tomorrow night, live from the Spectrum, exclusively on Prism.
And true patriot love in all thy sons command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free, and stand on guard, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee, O Canada, glorious and free. We stand on guard, we stand on guard for thee, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Mark Rose singing both the Canadian and the American national anthem, playing in goal for the Winnipeg Jets. Well, the officials for tonight's game, the referee Terry Gregson, handling the lines will be Gordy Brassiker and Will Norris. Again, playing in goal for the Winnipeg Jets will be Mark Barron. In the first 2 games, he's only given up 6 goals. He's got a 3.00 goals against average. In the net for the Philadelphia Flyers, Bobby Feroz. Starting his 4th game, he's only given up 2.00 goals against. And now the voice of the Flyers, Gene Hart.
Thank you. As play is on at center ice, Philadelphia has McCrimmon out with Howe, and up front Poulin with Craven and Ilka Sinicello. Randy Carlyle out with Robert Picard. And up front, it's Horacek on with McLean and Mullen, with the Jets having it at center ice and drilling it back deep in the Philadelphia zone. Taking it at the area behind his net, swinging out to the right is McCrimmon. Flips a pass up to Howe on the left wing at center ice. Right wings into the zone. Pass to Nasalo over the goal line. If Randy Carlyle touches up, and he does first, we'll have an icing called against Philadelphia. 35 seconds called into the first period.
Scratch tonight for, as we take a look at Randy Carlyle, the Norris Trophy winner in '81. Murray Eves and Perry Turnbull out for the Winnipeg Jets. Turnbull injured a knee, will be out till late November. Flyers without Allison, Dvorak, and Derek Smith missing his first action this year. That's just due to numbers. Flyers carrying 3 extra players.
Bob, a little note. Randy Carlyle during the warm-up wore a headgear, but did not at the start of the game.
Maybe he's just trying to get used to it, Gene. He has not worn a helmet throughout his National League career. In fact, this is his 9th year.
Ryan Mullen, his brother Joel, plays for the St. Louis Blues, 2 products out of New York. The Flyers get it up, and they almost had a 2-on-1 with Sutter, Ron, and Lindsey Carson. The Jets break that up at center ice as Horwitchek is run into by Howe, breaking his stick. And the Flyers' McCrimmon stick handling up into the neutral zone. Tries a pass smothered by Winnipeg, and they play out on the right side. Paul McLean through, and here comes Horwitchek over the line. A nice move inside Howe, but Lindsey Carson covering up for Philadelphia. Takes it and jams it to center ice. The Jets fire right back in and bring out a new unit. Dave Ellett is out there, along with Lukowicz and Tim Waters on a partial change, with McCrimmon carrying through at center for Philadelphia. Up the middle and turning to go on the forehand was Lindsey Carson. Led off his stick, played by Tim Waters of the Winnipeg defense to center ice. Flyers now looking for that line change as Rich Sutter will forward it in, and then Rutz heads on to Dave Ellett. Winnipeg defenseman as Maury Lukowicz behind his own net. The last vestiges of the WHA Avco Cup champion of 78-79 Winnipeg Jets. There's a check at center ice by Scott Arneal, number 11 of the Jets. Philadelphia's Tim Kerr, who's out there now with Zezel and Propp. Flyers up the middle, and on the right wing is Brad Marsh, a wraparound behind Burns. Zezel picks it up at the hash marks. Left circle at the boards is tied up. Flyers go back to Marsh, drives it in on the net, deflected short side by Brian Propp, and the Jets come to center ice. There's a play by Boschman as Marsh cuts him off, and there is Bob Froese at the right side of his net to cover the loose puck in a play that had you holding your breath. With 2:10 gone in the first period at the Spectrum, Winnipeg and Flyers, there is no score.
Bobby Froese made a good play in that loose puck in the Flyers zone as Marsh was tied up with a potential 2-on-1. One player had him wrapped up. The puck was loose around the net, and he made that big save, covering up that loose puck as a Winnipeg Jet forward was cruising back in the slot all alone. So Bob Froese was facing the play and could see what was happening, or what was developing out in front of him, and wisely froze that puck. One thing about is Brad Marsh took the man away, didn't worry about the puck.
Faceoff will be in the Flyers' defensive right circle. Hackborn out with Brown and Craven. Defensively, Hospodar with McCrimmon. And it's Anderstein along with Bent Lundholm and Doug Smale. And at the point, they have Jim Kite and Dave Babbage. Flyers wheel it around near side. Craven ties up Babbage. The puck slips through into center ice. Smale retrieves at his own line, tries to hit Babbage. Rolls loose to Bent Lundholm. Right winging it into the zone to Anderstein. Shot short side off the skate of goaltender Froese, and carried off the near side by Philadelphia's Craven to center ice. Hackborn going to put a pressure on Kite as the Flyers drive it back in. Delay offside whistled off as the Flyers bring out cleanly. Now the Jets up the slot. Look out. They drop it on the right side to Steen. Back to the point. Babbage with a big shot right on. Save made. The rebound swept away by Hospodar from Lundholm coming in from the left wing, and the Flyers back. Hackborn over the line. Drops to Craven. Drive right on, and good save by Byrne, and a little poke shot by Hospodar from the right side, covered by the Winnipeg netminder. And the Jets try to clear out and do past Hospodar along the Jet left wing. At center ice, a steal by Poulin. Running at him was Anderstein. He lost the puck at Philadelphia center. On the far side, trying to come out is Lundholm, and finally does, as the Jets get it up the middle of the ice. Steen left winging it into the zone. Making a move is Ron Wilson, cut off the puck by the Flyers as the checking very tight, and Philadelphia lifts it into the neutral zone. 3.5 gone, first period, no score. Jets outshot 2-1. There have been no penalties as Winnipeg rolls it down the right wing boards behind Froese. And Froese, with 2 men going in deep, gets it off to Sinisalo and the Poulin at center ice. The Jets quickly back. That was both Paul Pooley and Ron Wilson out there making the play as the Flyers kick it in deep. Pooley, Wilson, and Andy McBain on the line for Winnipeg, as Randy Carlyle on the defense with Robert Picard. Lose it. Flyers drill it into the offensive left corner. Picked off and sent through to center ice. Down that right wing side, Paul Pooley at the Flyer line. He's beaten to the puck on a sweep check by Brad McCrimmon that knocks it onto the rink.
One thing that Flyers will have to be very aware of is that Winnipeg uses that quick pass through the middle. And they really explode that forward right up the center ice. Mike Keane, of course, very well aware of that. I'm sure has made mention of that. It's an old Montreal play, and I'm sure that stems from John Ferguson as well, Eddie.
Philadelphia has the two centers out with Lindsey Carson. Defensively, Erickson with Brad Marsh. For the Jets, Horachuk with McLean and Mullen the wings. Defensively, they have Dave Ellett. And on the near side, Tim Waters. Marsh behind his own net. Outlets on the near wing. Right through at center ice to Carson at the Jet line. Challenged in there by Waters. Fights into the left wing corner along with Ron Sutter. They scramble with Horachuk. Marsh dumps it behind the net. No one there except Waters, who wheels it around to his left wing side and all the way down. Foot race for it. Horachuk along with Thomas Eriksson. And Horachuk would have gotten there first. So they played to the Flyers around to the near side. McLean picks it off. Boom. He's dumped by Marsh, and the Flyers bring it up. A right wing pass to Eriksson over the line. Up the middle. Looks for the play in on the net. Drops it off to Ron Sutter. Into the right wing corner. He goes back to the point to Marsh. He looks. Drive high off the blocker. Rebound pass Barons, who never saw it, turned around to see it was behind him. And the follow-up shot by Rich Sutter went wide of the net. Jets up the middle of the ice at the line. Ellett with a shot. Score from the blue line. Dave Ellett whistled it home. And for the youngster, a goal, his second of the season, 4:58, 1-0 Winnipeg.
Well, the Flyers missed an excellent opportunity. Richie Sutter rammed one wide, but this time here, Bobby Froese didn't seem to be quite ready. He was leaning way over to the right side, and that shot by Ellett just caught the inside of the corner, and he might not have picked it up right from the stick. Nonetheless, Ellett scores here early in the first period, 4:48 to be exact, or 58 rather. And it gives the Winnipeg Jets the 1-0 lead.
McLean gets one assist. Horachuk and McLean. Offensive left corner dump to Prop behind the net. Zezel bumps off his man, but it's taken away by Boschman. Cleared up the slot and played by Babich out on the right wing for Scott Arneal, challenging Crosman at the Flyer line. They crisscross. Whoop, he's in. Look out. Shot saved by Froese. As they got mixed up in front of the net, it clears out again as the Jets are shooterish. Prop back for Philadelphia at the Jet line. Drops beautifully off to Kerr. In shot. And Barron had that one all the way back to the point. Hospodar's shot blocks, hits a buddy, gets a rebound, drives it in on the net with both Zezel and Kerr screening. But the rebound taken off and sent by Steen up at center ice. And it's picked up by Arneal at the red line. Hits the Flyer line right wing. Crisscrosses again. He's run into by Hospodar. And Hospodar is going to get it for roughing. Well, it comes at 5:47 first period. Jet power play coming up. They lead the game 1-0.
Well, Hospodar's going to pick up a 2-minute minor as the Flyers defenseman is cruising across the blue line looking for that body check, and Arneal just looked up. Hospodar's coming right towards him. He just got his glove out in front of him and gave him a kind of a punch in the helmet. So as a result, Flyers defenseman Ed Hospodar will pick up a 2-minute minor for roughing, and the Winnipeg Jets will go on the power play. They're also currently leading 1-0 in the first period.
Hospodar for roughing at 5:47. Game's first penalty. Ed has 22 minutes on the year. The Jets are 5 for 30 on the power play. Flyers have given up 9 and 43 short. Last year, Winnipeg against Philadelphia in 3 games, just 1 for 13. Out there for the Flyers, they have Poulin along with Prop and Howe with McCrimmon as the Jets working it from behind their own net. It's Thomas Steen up to Randy Carlyle at center ice, hitting Paul McLean at the Flyer line. He backhands it in deep, and Carlyle goes in along with Brian Mullen. The Flyers clear near side. Poulin up the middle, and we've got Prop in a foot race with Horachuk. Prop over the line, short-handed shot, and Barron had it in. And then Horachuk pulls down Prop as the Flyers battle behind the net.
Poulin is knocked down, and now so is Prop, and we're going to have a penalty against Winnipeg in their exuberance to keep the puck away. 13:36 remaining in this first period. Jet penalty. They lead it 1-0.
Thomas Dean is going to pick up the penalty for tripping as he came in behind and took the skates out from under Brian Prop. Prop had an excellent opportunity, but just couldn't get the handle on the puck before he was broke, before Dale Howarchuk could get back and really harass him. Barron made a nice save. With Poulin in there forechecking the loose puck, Steen came in and knocked the feet out from under Brian Prop, as you see there. That's the tripping call. Now the penalty and power play will be gone from Winnipeg.
Steen, who's the leading scorer for the Jets with 10 points, now has 7 penalty minutes on the year. They'll play 5 aside for minute 23, and then if there are no further penalties, Philadelphia on the power play. Howe at the point wins the draw. Backhands toward the net. It was grabbed by goaltender Barron with Murray Craven right in front harassing. Well, Craven had good position. He's in front of the Winnipeg Jet goaltender, but the defenseman was all over him in the puck when it did arrive from the point. The goaltender was able to see it and make the play. Poulin, Craven, Howe, and McCrimmon. They kick it back to Howe. Drive again and hit the inside of Barron's skate, even though that glove was down. Ricocheted partially off to his right, where it's covered by Waters. Outlets to Ellett, who has the 1 goal in the game. The Jets throw it all the way down. It's in on Froese. Play allowed to continue. And Howe spins around the right side of his net and outlets it up the middle. Boy, collared nicely by Poulin. That was a tough one to floor. And then a good check by Murray Craven at center ice. Takes the puck away from Waters as Poulin has his attempt to come out blocked, and does on the second try with some help from Mark Howe. They're playing 5 skaters out there as a steal by Zezel. Zezel against Waters. Cuts inside, but has his pass go off the skate of Waters. But all of that, we had a stoppage of play. What we got, Craven and Howarchuk?
Ike Gregson, the referee, is going to be making penalty calls here. Both Howarchuk of the Winnipeg Jets and Murray Craven of the Flyers will be going to the penalty bench. It happened as Zezel came on in replace of Dave Poulin, and both Howarchuk and Murray Craven were making their way to their respective player benches, and they'll pick up roughing minors here in this opening period. It'll come at 7:08. Howarchuk still having a few words with Murray Craven.
Howarchuk now with 9 penalty minutes, and for Philadelphia, Murray Craven picks up his 5th and 6th. Well, with all those minors, the teams are in that rare situation of just 3 skaters aside, and this is where individual brilliance stands out, as there's a lot of skating room on the ice. This is where Ricky McLeish was absolutely incredible. Yeah. Of course, with the coincidental minors and penalties of that ilk and rules of that, rarely do you see this situation of 3 aside. 3 skaters and a goaler. When Hospodar comes out in 39 seconds, the Flyers will have a 4 skaters to 3 edge for approximately 35-40 seconds. Howe leading the charge into the zone. Right wing's a pass to the point. McCrimmon knocks it down, puts it behind the Jet net to Ron Sutter. Sutter away from Ellett. In front, there's Howe. Shot, score! Was absolutely all alone in front of the net. McCrimmon getting it in the corner to Sutter. Sutter one-hands it right in behind. Mark Howe's got it head up, has a look, and just beats the goaltender cleanly. Excellent play, 3-on-3 situation. Mark Howe, one-on-one with the goaltender, just floats it right by him, low to the stick side, just inside the goal post. The deadlock this game at 1 apiece. Easy to read that play. Howe's third from Ron Sutter at 7:24. McCrimmon penetrates again. Howe at the point, challenged by Laurie Boschman. Puts it to the side of the net. In front, a nice play on the give and go by Ron Sutter to McCrimmon. As the Flyers on the follow put it in front, Ron Sutter is grabbed, and the Flyers now on the power play. And they're going to have a delayed penalty against the Winnipeg Jets, as they already have 2 men in the box. 12:10 remaining, first period from the Spectrum. Jets and Flyers tied at 1.
Robert Picard will pick up a hooking minor as Ronnie Sutter did an excellent job of checking him from behind. He just stole a puck from Picard, and then as he was trying to get set, you could see the pitchfork of Robert Picard pulling him down to the ice. The penalty occurs at that point, and the Flyers will have a 2-man advantage here in the opening period.
That penalty.
Well, Rick Bowness, the assistant coach, talking to his players. On that goal by Howe, Mark Barron made his move first. He went down to the ice, and Howe just fired it over top of him. Excellent play by Howe, and a nicely conceived play by Ronnie Sutter from the corner.
Thomas Steen could come out in 34 seconds, but the penalty to Waters or to Picard will be delayed since the Jets already have 2 men in the box, so the Flyers will have this 4 skaters to 3 edge for a bit. As they're on their first power play, they are 9 for 39 on the season. The Jets have given up 6 and 24 shorts. Flyers try to penetrate, puck loose behind the Winnipeg net. Kerr is there, pokes at the prop, gets it back behind the net, comes to the near side, had Crosman in front, but a good play by Babbage. Breaks up the play as the Flyers wind it around to the offensive right corner. There's Eriksson behind the net to Prop. Gets it back at the top of the right circle, left side to Crosman. Straight away to Eriksson. Drive way wide of the net on the one-timer. Prop at the top of the right circle, back to Eriksson. Look, he's got Crosman open in the left circle, not in front. Prop was there and got it off the heel of the stick and shanked it. And the Jets take it away, and Babbage is sticking offense, bringing it up on the left side at center ice. Flyers are on a 4 against 3 for another 30 seconds. Each team will get a man back. Horachuk will come back for the Jets, and Philadelphia will get Craven back. As Crosman up at center ice, 1-1 the score at the Jet line against Randy Carlyle. Into the right wing corner, round behind the net, back passes to Kerr. Kerr out of that corner, straight away to the point to Eriksson. Into the circle, Prop again, a shot, that's smothered. Dug out by Boschman and sent into the neutral zone. When the Flyers cover in the zone, you'll see Craven come out along with Horachuk, and the Flyers will have then a 5 against 6 advantage for 1:14. Sinisalo over the line, drops to Crosman at the point. Behind the net, Sinisalo looks to put it in front, does. Barron, the goaltender, blocks it back to Tim Waters, and the Jet defenseman ices it. 1 minute remaining on the advantage, and the Flyers have had a lot of it in this period, but have yet to cork in a power play goal as the game is tied at 1. Flyers scoring while they were skating 3 aside. Pass into the Jet zone, deflected away and sent by Ellett to Waters, and Waters ices it. Pressure put on behind the net against Mark Howe by Doug Smale. So Bob Froese feeds off to McCrimmon. McCrimmon up the middle, and here comes Zezel with Craven on his left, Sinisalo on his right. Over the line, into the zone. Feeds to Craven in the corner. The Jets give it away at the point. The McCrimmon shot right on, off the short side of the net. Dug out there by Sinisalo. Gets it away nicely from Waters. Behind the net with Craven in front. Goes instead around the horn to Zezel. Zezel at the blue line. Challenged in there to McCrimmon. McCrimmon off to the left side to Howe. Looks, drive on the net. Barron with a good split. Grabs it with the left pad. Stacked up against the left glove. With 14 seconds remaining on the penalty to Beaubert Picard.
Well, Howe picking up his 4th goal to tie this game. Has 9 points as well, but the thing about Howe is how aggressive he's been playing. A nice flip pass by Brad McCrimmon. He got that shot away, and it's nice to see Howe not have those shoulder problems that he had last year, which enables him to get that shot away with the velocity that he exhibited 2 years ago.
1-1 the score. Offensive left circle, Philadelphia. Craven left, Sinisalo right with Zezel, Howe, and McCrimmon. 14 seconds remaining on the Picard penalty. They scramble at the circle. Jets trying to dig it out. Philadelphia kicks it to the point. Howe pivots away nicely from Ron Wilson. Into the corner. It's played by Craven. Gets it back on the deflection to the point. McCrimmon looks, drive, save, rebound, Zezel, and he shot it wide as he had the goaltender helpless. The penalty is over. Out of the box comes Picard as Zezel attempts to center from behind the net. He's knocked down. Taken off as Philadelphia's Craven is up ice. Comes Ron Wilson at the Philadelphia line. Penetrates, and offside on his right is Laurie Boschman. Penalty box is empty. 9:23 remaining. First period at the Spectrum. The Jets and the Flyers tied at 1.
The tempo here in the first period has picked up considerably. The Flyers have had 12 shots on goal and been aided by the power play opportunities. Other action around the league tonight. The Islanders are in Montreal. Quebec's in Boston. Calgary's in Detroit.
I think an indication of how the league is going, Eddie and Bobby, you look at tonight's schedule, you say, I'd like to see any one of those games. Islanders at Montreal, Calgary at Detroit.
Well, Mark Barron is getting some equipment repair down now. It gives us a chance to really tell you a little bit about that goaltender. He's in his first year in the National Hockey League. He was a 5th-round draft pick of Winnipeg's out of the University of Wisconsin. He was an outstanding goaltender in college. He's been the NCAA tournament MVP 2 years, 81 and 83. He was also on the NCAA champs at the University of Wisconsin in both those years, 81 and 83. So he's been rated the top goalie in college over the last couple of years, and he's getting a shot here with the Winnipeg Jets.
Flyers win the draw up outside at center ice. They have the two setters on with Lindsey Carson and Thomas Eriksson back with Brad Marsh. Out there for the Jets, Picard and Carlisle, and up front they go with Mullen, McLean, centered by Horachuk, and the Flyers drill it up at center ice. Hits the skate of Carson, gets it off to Ron Sutter, offensive right corner dump to Rich Sutter. Tried to shot, had his stick lifted as the Jets outlet, and at center ice there is Horachuk, and we get a stoppage of play. We have a two-line offside pass, and goaltender Barron broke out, and we have a Philadelphia penalty. 8:55 remaining first period. Jet power play coming up. We're tied at 1.
Flyers penalty to number 14, Ron Sutter, 2 minutes for hooking.
It'll be Ron Sutter going off for hooking at 11:05. Jets will be on with their second power play of the game.
That whole play happened behind as the Winnipeg Jets were breaking up the ice. Sutter reached out and hooked the Winnipeg player, pulling him to the ice, and this causes a minor penalty given to the Twin. 11:05 the time. Second power play for Winnipeg, and Gene Otto, all those penalties called, the Flyers end up with 2 power plays, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but no
Officially.
cigar. Right, the Jets 0 for 1 on the night, 5 for 31, and one thing you'd always expect from them, we had Gordy Brossiker drilled by that dump in, and he doubled up, but now seems to have recovered, and no rest for the weary as the Jets bring it up. Horachuk out there with Mullen and McLean at the point. Carlisle with Thomas Steen, puck behind the Philadelphia net. Sent out. Poland couldn't cover it at the point. Thomas Steen in along the right side. Dumped toward the net. Driven in on the net by Mullen. As Froese reached out to grab it, and Mullen just whacked it past him for the score.
The puck was bouncing, and Winnipeg picks up the power play to regain the lead here. But Brian Mullen just bounced it. That puck, it was bouncing. He pulled it right out of the middle of the air, knocked it past to surprise Bobby Froese, and the Jets regained the lead. As Horachuk will pick up 1 assist on it as he shot that puck in from the point. So his second goal for Brian Mullen of the year. It comes at 11:34. Jets 2-1 over Philadelphia.
Odd goal.
His second of the season.
It's Mullen's second. Horachuk 1 assist, and Thomas Steen the other.
11 minutes, 34 seconds.
Puck down in the Flyer zone. It's there were 2 strange goals. One from the blue line, and that one, it appeared Froese was just going to make the routine grab, and all of a sudden it was bounced past him. Now the Jets fighting along the far side. Philadelphia clears to Craven. He can't control it at center ice, and Picard drives it down the right boards into the zone, but catches Paul Pooley offside.
Actually, what happened on that goal when Mullen got in behind defenseman Brad Marsh, the puck was rolling towards the net, and as Bobby mentioned, just batted it right out of the air. Davey Poulin, Flyers' new captain.
Done an awful lot of penalty killing this year, Poulin, as well as playing some on the power play.
Pooley at center ice with McBain and Wilson on the left side. Carlisle back with Picard. Flyers have Dave Brown out with Craven, centered by Hackborn, and defensively McCrimmon and Howe. Craven is tackled at center ice head on by Robert Picard as the Jets tip it through into the zone off the stick of Paul Pooley. Howe, a wraparound to the near side. Ron Wilson reads it against Craven. Craven blocks off Wilson, allowing Hackborn to work up the middle of the ice to Howe and through to Craven on the left wing at center. Drives it into the zone on Barron. He grabs and hangs on as Dave Brown is first in along with defenseman Carlisle of the Jets. 7:31 first period. 1 Flyers, 2 Winnipeg.
Well, the Islanders have opened up a 1-0 lead over Montreal in the first period. Clark Gillies picking up his 5th as Dave Brown getting one of his rare starts this year. Hasn't had much chance to play for the Philadelphia Flyers, and even in the games that he has been dressed, he's been used very sparingly by Coach Mike Keenan. Brown had an excellent training camp, probably one of the best training camps he's had since he's been a pro.
7:31 remaining in the period. 2-1 Winnipeg. Boschman takes the draw against Hackborn, who's out along with Craven, and Brown playing the right side. Hospodar and Crosman. Boschman centering a line with Maury Lukowicz and Scott Arneal. And defensively, Babbage on the near side. And on the far side, got Ellett. Puck dropped behind the net, taken off by Hackborn, falls on it, gets up. rolls it free. It's up for grabs. Cutting off his man on the near side. Jim Kite took off Hackborn as the Flyers trying to keep it in. Craven right in at the circle. Rolls it in front. And unable to see it was Brown, who was being worked on by Jim Kite. And now we get Brown and Kite. There's a major league deal.
They're both big guys. Both of them go 6'5".
Well, they're unloading with some good shots, too. That started right in front of the net as the two of them got tied up. And all of a sudden, down with the sticks and gloves. And now come the left hands.
Brown is a left-hander, which surprises a lot of people when you're fighting with a left-hander. Kite goes 6'5", 210 pounds. Brown is 6'5", about 204. Oh, 14. And boy, I'll tell you, when the linesmen are trying to get in there, Brown just uncorked a left hand that just rocked the head of Jim Kite.
That was a good straight left hand. Right up over top.
Well, Kite's a former #1 draft pick of Winnipeg Jets, 1982 out of Cornwall as well, and that was a major league bout. They'll be going off for majors at least.
While we set up the penalty, 7:11 remain in the first period at the Spectrum. Winnipeg 2, Philadelphia 1.
13:49 is the time, or 12:49 rather, is the time of these majors. They're just getting majors for fighting, but Brown's making his way to the dressing room. It all started in front of this. Kite and Brown were tied up in front there as Mark Barron both checked the puck away. Then they just turned around and looked at each other. Down went the gloves, and then you saw a repeat of the Thrilla in Manila. 2-1 to score here. The Jets in the lead of the Flyers here in the first period. 7:11 left in this first period.
Kite 25 minutes on the air. Brown with his first penalty. He has 5. The penalties are 8, evenly divided. Coincidental majors at 12:49, and so they'll play at full strength on the ice. Ellett scored for Winnipeg at 4:58. Howe tied it while they were playing 3 skaters aside at 7:24. And Mullen on the power play got the goal at 11:34 with Ron Sutter off the ice. Play at the Winnipeg line. Howe wraps it around behind Barron. Kerr picks it up. Tries to go toward the net. Blocked off by Waters. Blocked off this time by Kerr. Wrap around to the defensive right side of Winnipeg. Flyers battle in the corner. Zezel centers. Kerr's taken behind the net by Boschman in front. And it's kicked out to the blue line. Swept to the far side beautifully by Zezel. But Arneal takes it as Kerr and Howe were dumped at the Winnipeg line. And the Flyers come back. And then Scott Arneal grabs the shoulder of Peter Zezel, spins him around, and then grabs Zezel's stick as up ice comes Propp over the line. Along that right side, there's traffic. Goes behind the net to Zezel. In front to Kerr. It comes in front. They whack at it. It's still loose, and Barons dives forward in front of his net to grab that puck, bouncing dangerously.
Well, the Flyers were going to the goal looking for that loose puck, and Zezel was right on top of the goaltender with Kerr right in behind him. Kerr, the big man, just positions himself out in front. The puck's bouncing. Zezel's goal in there looking for it, trying to kick it loose. The goaltender goes down and covers up as the Flyers were on the doorstep.
This game looks like it could become a rough contest as both teams are starting to take extra shots at each other.
A lot of clutching and grabbing too, Bobby.
Yeah, that frustrates a player more than anything.
All right, Philadelphia counters with Rich and Ron Sutter, Lindsey Carson with Thomas Eriksson and Brad Marsh. It's Picard out along with Randy Carlyle. And the Jets have up front Laurie Boschman with Maury Lukowicz and Scott Arneal. Offensive left circle face-off for Philadelphia. 6:26 remaining first period, 2-1 Winnipeg. Boschman against Ron Sutter. Both stars of Western Canadian Junior League. Boschman with the Brandon Wheat Kings and Ray Allison and Brian Propp. And, of course, Ron Sutter with Brother Rich with the Lethbridge Broncos. Up at center ice, it's dumped by Boschman into the offensive left corner. Froese rolls it around behind the net. And there's Thomas Eriksson through to Ron Sutter at center ice. Over the line, comes with Rich. Drop pass broken up by Carlyle, and the trailer, Boschman takes it, turns off to the left, and sends it up to Carlyle at the Flyer line. Against Thomas Eriksson, flips one in on the net. Froese grabs, rolls off to his left, and here comes Ron Sutter up on the left side to Carson. Carson, a right wing pass. Rich Sutter is dumped, and over the line comes Ron Sutter. He's got a man in front. Carson throws it off the side of the net, and then Carson is jammed into the net by Scott Arneal, dislodging it from the moorings, and now Rich Sutter is run out by Robert Picard.
Picard really hit Richie Sutter at the blue line with a solid body check. Didn't get him. If he had got him completely head on, he might have really did some damage. He got a piece of him as Sutter was looking for that pass and just got clipped a little bit, and I think Sutter wanted to get back a little bit at Picard, but Picard really timed it perfectly. Got him with a real nice body check as he was looking down at the puck.
Anytime you cut across that center ice area there, you got to really keep your head up and watch where you're going, not looking at the puck or looking at a pass you made, because if you do, you're really vulnerable. And that time, Picard really straightened Sutter up with a good, clean, hard body check.
Penalties are even at 4, 13-6 the shots Philadelphia. The Jets lead 2-1. Murray Craven as Gordy Brosiker from Baltimore is the linesman. Make sure along with referee Terry Gregson. Gregson, an interesting summer. He usually goes out to Europe every year to give clinics, particularly in Great Britain.
Well, now we get the net fixed. We tell you Saturday, November 3rd, the North Stars are in town, and next Friday night, the St. Louis Blues, and you can get tickets for these games. So why don't you give the Flyers a call at 805-4500.
Play on. Smale tried to center it. He had Thomas Steen there. The puck recovered by the Jets. Thomas Ender makes that Bent Lundholm. We get our Swedish guys right. Puck down in the corner as Taka takes a run at Carlisle. And it's played out into center ice and down into the Winnipeg zone by Ed Hospodar. And they're going to call that an icing. Yeah, that was kind of a hedgy call with 5:15.
That was tough for Picard to get back that slow. Lee.
5:15 remaining in the period. 2-1 Jets. Dave Ellett and Brian Mullen sandwiched around a goal by Philadelphia's Mark Howe.
This is not the type of first period that we're used to seeing here at home. Normally the Flyers have always jumped on the opposition quickly, but that is not the case this year.
Rick Taka jumping up over Randy Carlisle inside the Flyers zone just before Eddie Hospodar tried to dump that puck slowly out of the zone. 13-6, the shots on goal in favor of Philadelphia.
McLean is shot high and wide of the short side on the draw as he's out with Mullen and Howardchuk. Flyers get it into center ice, and it's taken back in offside by Tim Waters. Flyers back home on the radio network in Prism Saturday night at 7:30 with the North Stars. And then a week off almost, not back into action till Friday the 9th here with St. Louis.
That's where you can still get tickets and come on down and see this exciting young club. You can get them at the box office here at the Spectrum or all the Ticketron outlets throughout the Delaware Valley.
Howe and McCrimmon along with Sinisalo, Poulin, and Craven. The Jets with Horachuk on, McLean left, Mullen right, and defensively Waters with Babbage. Puck in the offensive left corner. Paul McLean in there. Takes a check from Howe. Almost comes out in front after taking the bump. Flyers clear, not out, and then it's bumped by Craven. The Flyers have a 3-on-1. Craven and Howe. Craven right on in, shot! And a nice save by Barron, and it was the correct play by the youngsters. He was right in on top of net. On the rebound, just Karen past Mark Howe was the trailer up the middle. Then as the puck goes into the Jet zone, we have an offside.
Boy, I'll tell you, they had an excellent chance. The puck just hit Barron in the shoulder as Howe was playing the trailer. He had Ilka Sinisalo on his right side, and it was a nice play by the Jet defenseman out there, Dave Ellett, to take away that pass as he played it perfectly. The 2-on-1 situation, stayed in the middle and gave the goaltender the shooter. And Craven trying for that high corner, couldn't get it high enough.
Also, he put him off to the angle, Bobby, which gives the goaltender more of an advantage.
Excellent play by the young defenseman.
Boschman, Arneal, along with Lukowicz, and Philadelphia goes Zezel, Trop, and Kerr. Zezel out of the circle, and it will be Kerr against Laurie Boschman. Puck drop, cleared back to the Jet zone. Between his circles, it's Randy Carlisle getting it up ice. No, he's not a former. He was Norris Trophy winner as the league's best defenseman with Pittsburgh. One of their few shining moments in the last decade. Puck in the neutral zone, grabbed off by Carlisle, puts it on Babbage's stick, and throws it right away to Brad Marsh, leading the charge. At the line, on the backhander is Zezel, lost control of it, works it into the right wing corner, and put in front by Kerr to Prop, and he tried to angle it on the short side with a deflection in. Barons hugged the post to keep that one away.
The Winnipeg Jet goaltender made a good play as the Flyers were again going to the net, looking for that loose puck, but he was able to make that save and cover up that rebound to keep the score in favor of the Jets, 2-1.
Flyers make another unit change. Carson with Rich and Ron Sutter, Hospodar and Crosman. Jets still go with Lukowicz, Boschman, and Arneal. And Carlisle with Robert Picard. Offensive right circle for Philadelphia. They trail 2-1, 4:04 remaining first period. Buck back behind the net. Lukowicz on the near side tries to find Arneal. Crosman goes in deep to keep it in. And then Boom on the near side. The Flyers have Lindsey Carson knocked down as Babbitt clears to Carlisle. Boom, hit by Ron Sutter, but maintains balance, keeps control, outlets along his right wing to Arneal, and Scott puts it into center ice, where Boschman drops back to Carlisle, carrying through into the neutral zone. Flyer line, a shot right on and cleared to his right by goaltender Froese. Then it bounces through his glove, and he grabs it off the twining to his left for the stoppage of play. 3:36 remaining in the period. 2-1 Winnipeg.
The Flyers are out shooting the Jets right now 16-7, but are trailing on the scoreboard 2-1 as Bobby Froese, the Flyers goaltender, has given up 2 unusual goals, the second one being a bouncer that Mullen plucked right out of the air and drove it past Froese to give the Jets that 2-1 lead.
Howe and McCrimmon for Philadelphia, Zezel Prop and Timmy Kerr. Jets have Thomas Steen out there along with Smale on one side, Lundholm on the other. At the point, Ellett, who has 1 goal, and Tim Waters. Flyers win the draw in the near corner, try to come out into center ice. It skips past Waters. He takes it away from Brian Propp, screens him off, and that allows the Jets' Lukowicz to roll it behind the Philadelphia net. Flyers clear, but not out, kept in at the point. Ellett drives it offensive right corner. Centering pass attempted by Thomas Steen, and Kerr breaks it up, and it bounces to center ice. And here comes Zezel along with Howe. Drops Howe in to Zezel. Open net, and Barron took the play away in front. It comes again, they score! And I think Peter Zezel might get that on a deflection.
I think maybe Brian Propp was there, Gene, to stick that last puck in, but boy, I'll tell you, the Flyers were all around that net. Mark Howe in a 2-1, hung on, threw it up top, and wound up hitting Zezel in the chest. He put it up in front, and Brian Propp was right there on the doorstep with Timmy Kerr coming in a little bit late. So Propp jams that puck home to deadlock this game at 2 apiece.
Propp's 10th, and gentlemen, he has now scored in his 6th straight game, and he has had goals in 7 of his last 8. And when I said he scores, in this case, I mean goals. Flyer record is 9 straight, held by your old buddy during your playing days, Gary Dornhofer. Howe and Zezel, the assist, and Peter Zezel now has scored in 9 of the 11 games in which he has played. Points. Philadelphia in the near side to Propp. Propp tries to get it out, kept in. Waters stream shot at the point, rolls off the side of the Philadelphia net. As the Jets can play offense, it comes out over the line, back in off the glove of Tim Waters offside.
You know what's good in that goal, Gene, is Zezel, even though he's out of the play, he did not go by the net. He stopped at the corner of the net when Howe shot that puck. It was wide, but Howe is coming down. He got himself off to an angle. He had nowhere to go. They just throws it up the top, and Zezel stops. Doesn't go by for a long skate. He stops right there. It hits him up in the chest. Tries to jam it around home, and Brian Propp's right there. The goaltender out of position. But if he goes for a skate and goes past that goal crease, he's out of the play, and as a result, the goal had never been scored.
Again, we had an example of Zezel's soccer prowess as he used the skate to clear that puck out in front after it dropped at his feet on the initial play by Howe. Flyers penetrate the Winnipeg zone. We get a stoppage of play. Ron Duguay has scored at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, his 8th of the year, to give the Red Wings a 2-1 first period lead over Calgary. Robert Picard, the #1 pick. Oh, so long ago, the Washington Capitals did not make out, and then has seen himself move around the league to Detroit and Montreal, and now to Winnipeg, where he seemed to have found a home. Howe out with Thomas Eriksson. Rich and Ron Sutter with Lindsey Carson. The Flyers dump offensive right corner. Ron Sutter takes it away from Brian Mullen, who has one of the 2 Jet goals. Kicks out to the slot. Played by Ellett to the point. Flyers keep it in around behind the net. Ron Sutter, as it rolls past him, the Flyers get Rich Sutter to Ron behind the net. Looks to center. He's taken down, and we're going to have a penalty against Paul McLean. Took the skate right out from under the hustling Sutter. It comes at 18:03. The Jets now have 5 of the game's 9 penalties, and Eddie, they're going to pick up the Flyers their 3rd power play prop, as with that stoppage of play, Jim Kite of the Jets and Philadelphia's Dave Brown come out of the penalty box after their majors for fighting.
Actually, the penalty occurred right in behind the net as McLean pulled the feet out from Sutter as he's going around carrying in possession of the puck. So as a result, McLean picks up that 2-minute minor for tripping, and the Flyers are on their third power play opportunity with 1 minute and 57 seconds remaining here in the first period. Score deadlocked at 1 apiece. Pardon me, 2 apiece.
For McLean, 26 penalty minutes on the air. 166 overall for Winnipeg in 7 games. That's more per game than the Flyers average, and whoever thought that would happen. Third power play, offensive right circle. Zezel, Prop, Kerr, McCrimmon right, Howe left. And out there for Winnipeg, Boschman with Ron Wilson and Tim Waters with Randy Carlyle. Now, Gordy Brosiker, who's had his problems this year in demanding certain styles of face-offs, and he's now being talked to by Laurie Boschman, and now Terry Gregson, the referee, says, no, just get out. No discussion. So they'll try Ron Wilson, a centerman in his own right, against Kerr. Offensive right circle again, Philadelphia. Jets win it. Carlyle behind the net. Swings out away from the forechecking of Prop to Boschman, and Boschman has a man at center ice, 1-on-1. That's Ron Wilson up on the right side, backhander way over the top of the net. Ricochets to center ice. Carlyle knocks it away from Prop, and the Jets take it away with 1 minute 41 in the period, and just 3 seconds left in the penalty. 3 seconds less than the time remaining. McCrimmon now will bring the puck up slowly as the Flyers have not had that power play going for them of late. They've been shut out in their last 3 games and have gone 0 for 12. Puck back at their own line, and right now it looks staggered. Howe will try it. He's got a point on a goal and 1 on an assist. Flyers threw to Prop over the line, but he had trouble handling it. Turned his back, drew it in behind him offside.
Power play's a funny thing. Some nights it works and some nights it doesn't. The Flyers are having difficulty here this evening. But also we have to give credit to the Winnipeg Jets penalty killing unit, because they've been doing a good job in their own zone. They're not allowing the Flyers to really penetrate, get up there and move that puck around, looking for the one open man for the good scoring opportunity.
You ever play in the power play?
Power play? The only time I played the power play was when Bobby Orr got that penalty, and when we beat the Bruins 1-0 for the Stanley Cup. Freddie put me out there for that power play. He said, don't go across the red line.
And that did it. +1 in that game, huh?
Yep.
Jets win the draw, ice it. 1:03 in the period, 1:06 as they come up ice. It's McCrimmon. Through to Howe. The Jets across the line, so Howe penetrates down the right wing side against Babbage, rolls it in the corner. Craven in there with Ellett. Ellett gets it up to Smale, and Smale pumps it to center ice. Flyers haven't had even a close smell to set up on the power play now. Craven through, and it's lifted in by Sinisalo. After it is Zezel behind the net, takes out Ellett. Now Craven digs it out. Good play by Zezel to set up the play, and then as Craven tried to throw it back to the point, it hits Smale's skate and stick and deflects back into the neutral zone. 28 seconds left in the period, and 28 on the penalty. As over the line comes Crosman, can't handle the puck, goes to Smale, and he pops it to center ice. Nary a shot for Philadelphia in this power play. They'll have one last rush. 15 seconds remaining in the period. Out they come up the middle. McCrimmon rolls it through on the near corner. Sinisalo goes after it. Waters and he collide together in the Flyers' offensive left corner. In comes Craven along with Ron Wilson to the Jets. They get a stoppage of play with 3 seconds remaining in the period. 6 seconds on the McLean tripping. And so it looks like we're going to end the period the way we started. Even Steven. 2-2 the score. Ilkka Sinisalo, Sweden, who early in that round here with Vancouver had the 3-goal hat trick. The rarest of plays for him. The first player, and
here comes the goaltender. Bobby Froese is being pulled out of the net, so they're going with that extra attacker. 3 seconds remaining. Coach Keenan is going for the face-off. They win that face-off. They got 3 seconds to get it to the player for a big shot on net.
You're going to say that Sinisalo is the first player that anybody's been able to find who scored his first NHL goal on a penalty shot. 3 seconds left in the period. And the Flyers aren't going to have much luck because they have a right-hand shot in the left circle. So it'll be difficult for Ron Sutter to score off the face-off. His one hope is a quick draw back to Howe at the top of the left circle and a drive. And
that's what they're playing for, Gene.
Yeah, it's going to take all of 3 seconds. They're really going to have to make it an absolutely flawless play. Now they've got Erickson as the man in the slot with Howe along the left side. It drops. Nothing's going to happen there. It's cleared into the near corner, and we come to the end of the first period. Dave Ellett.
Some say they're among the best athletes in the world. And when they meet on the courts of the National Basketball Association, we'll have the latest action for you each week, right here on Prism. It's the NBA Weekly Show, featuring the big plays from the big games each week. From the graceful Dr. J to the lightning-quick Isaiah Thomas, the latest on the veterans and those up-and-coming stars. The most important games, a new program each week. It's the NBA Weekly Show. Catch it every week, exclusively on Prism.
Prism subscribers, have we got a deal for you? Just because you are a Prism subscriber, you can come down to the Spectrum to see the Flyers in action at a very special price. There are 2 game plans, and both are being offered at discount prices only to Prism subscribers. Choose the 5-game or the 10-game series and save up to 35% off the regular ticket cost. We know that Prism subscribers are some of the greatest Flyer fans around, so we're inviting all of you to take advantage of this special offer. Call the Flyers at 215-465-4500 for more information. They've got seats just waiting for you, and at a discount too. At this price, here's the perfect opportunity to take the whole family out to the game. But hurry, these tickets aren't going to last. Call the Flyers now at 215-465-4500 and tell them Prism sent you. See you at the game.
Indiana Jones, pursued by Belloc. Befriended by Sulla, threatened by Toth, and loved by Mary. They are all Raiders of the Lost Ark.
We're tied at 2 here at the Spectrum after 1 period of play, the Flyers and the Winnipeg Jets, and our guest is Flyer defenseman Brad McCrimmon. And Brad, you know, an awful lot was made over the fact that of the condition that you came to training camp in. You were a lot lighter. You just finished 1 second behind Davey Poole, and I hear it was even closer than that. What prompted that?
Well, I got home this summer and I did a little farm work and and did some reorganizing, and it turned out to be beneficial.
Well, it's worked so far in the scoring column. You got picked up 2 goals, which you went scoreless last year. Is all of a sudden we're going to see another Bobby Orr out there?
Oh, I don't think he could carry away that, but a little bit of luck helps too in that.
New regime coming in, a whole new setup there. I would think also that you'd want to try and clean the slate and just say, listen, I want to start and go from here.
Well, it's one idea I guess you can put behind it, but just had a lot to prove to myself, and I still have a lot to prove to myself yet.
Tonight's game, of course, Winnipeg coming in here, a very quick team. They like to spring that guy through the middle. Do you have to cheat a little bit and pull out of their zone sooner?
Well, we have to depend on our 3rd man high in the slot to pick up him if they come around the boards hard. It's his job to pick him up. If not, we have to keep our eyes open and be ready to cover up for that.
But you do have a team that can skate quickly. Well, how do you make adjustments? What do you have to do to adjust?
Well, you just make sure when you go to a guy and he passes the puck off, you make sure you get in his way and take him out of the play. You don't have to kill the guy, but just get in front of him and break his stride so he doesn't jump back in the play on you. And if you do that effectively all over the ice, you always have a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3.
You and Mark Howe have been teamed pretty well since the start of the season. Both of you are good skaters. Do you ever decide when it's whose turn it is to take the puck and carry it?
Well, as it turned out, we almost every rush he's up, I'm up, so it's kind of fun out there. It's whoever's in the position to get up in the play the best. He goes, and the other guy backs him up, and it's worked out pretty well. It's split 50-50, pretty close.
That's, I mean, you know, your offensive abilities is not a surprise to a lot of people because you scored an awful lot when you were in junior, but last year must have been very puzzling to you to go through a whole season without putting that red light on.
Well, you got to wonder sometimes, but I look back last year and I had a lot of good shots and chances. I've had held posts and held double posters, and it's the old luck story. I mean, you got to have some luck around the net once in a while, and last night was a good example.
Oh, you'd have to say last night's tying goal had to be one of the biggest ones you've had in a long time.
Well, for a while, yeah, but let's hope they keep coming.
Tonight, Winnipeg, have they surprised you at all?
Well, when I played in Boston and I played here, we've always had a tough game with Winnipeg. I don't know, it doesn't matter where they are in the standings. They always seem to play well against us, and that's all that matters, and we have to buckle down and get going here.
Here's a new goaltender, too. Here, he's a big guy. It looks like, you know, he's got into the game very early, an awful lot of shots, a lot of action.
He definitely is a big guy, and we're going to have to get a lot more rebound shots on him. We've had a couple of really good shots on the first shot, and he's been there for the test, but our rebound goals are going to get very important against him.
Well, 2 more periods to try and get that going there, Brad. Thanks for being our guest.
You're welcome.
Brad McCrimmon, and for being our guest, he'll receive from Bostonian, which has always been respected for making the finest in quality men's footwear with uncompromising quality since 1899. You'll find Bostonian leading shoe stores such as Schuster Shoes, 170 West Whitehorse Pike in Berlin, New Jersey. You can score with Bostonian shoes. Now, with a look at the second part of that interview with Pat Quinn, let's go down to Mark Zumoff. Mark?
All right, Chief, thank you very much, and good evening to you. Welcome to this latest edition of Prism Sports. 2-2 Flyers in Winnipeg after the first period of play. We'll have more on tonight's first period from Ed Van Imp and Bobby Taylor coming up. I invite you to stay with us. Soon after he was fired as coach of the Flyers back in 1982, Pat Quinn had little connection with hockey other than the games that he watched on television. But then he began to have a renewed interest in the game, and soon he could be seen at almost every Flyer home game. Now, Quinn has put his studies at Delaware Law School aside in favor of a complete return to hockey. He's now coaching the Los Angeles Kings. More in part 2 of his interview with Quinn from Prism's hockey reporter, Ken Adelberger.
After a 2-year absence from hockey, Pat Quinn is giving it another shot. He's now the coach of the Los Angeles Kings. It's a matter of readjusting from law student to NHL coach, a situation that Pat feels he can adapt to.
I don't think you lose too much. You might lose on your feel behind the bench and that sort of thing, but I have kept up a little bit on strategies and what teams were trying to do, and I taped some games at home and would see what the good clubs were trying to do with, you know, the different things that are done now. All the teams counter. Well, we were trying to counter back in the late 70s when we first took over. Now all the teams try to do it.
Tell me just how much coming back into the league now is a learning process for you.
Well, the first thing I had to do was find out about this team. I had all kinds of impressions from coaching against them and even from playing against them years ago, and then from listening to other hockey people around the league. I wanted to be able to make my own assessment of the players and not be predetermined as to who could play and who couldn't play. And, you know, one of the things I've always believed is that your system, any systems that you get into it, and again, I know it's an overused word, but any systems that you try to involve your team with should take into consideration what kind of talents you have. And we don't have any grinders out there. We have one guy that hits a little bit, but on the forward line. So, and we're not a team that gets the puck back well. So we're going to have to put our systems together that best suit the players we have. So the assessment part was the first part, and it's been difficult. I'm still in the assessment stage.
The 84-85 Kings are a team similar to the Flyers team that Quinn took to the Stanley Cup Finals in 1980.
I make analogy with our guys to the year I took over with the Flyers. At that time, in my opinion, they were a one-line hockey team, Barber, Clark, and Leach. And they had one real good hockey player on the second line, that was McLeish. They had other good journeymen, good workmen, but it still was theoretically only a one-line team. The Kings are a one-line team, an aging one-line team. They have Simmer, Dion, and Taylor. And I didn't know that all the Simmer thing was going to come up, and I don't want to get sidetracked on that now, but I wanted to break that line up like what we did with the Flyers. And when we did it with the Flyers, we made the team stronger, at the expense of maybe scoring some goals, but we had a stronger team because of it. And plus it helped get some of the guys we like to call role players more involved with the day-to-day success of the hockey club. It's what I'm trying to do here, because I think the same thing occurs. I think they had that one line, plus one strong scorer on the second line in Bernie Nichols. But after that, they have a number of role players. I see the Kings in a similar vein. We have, make analogies, but the one thing that is different is that the guys we had here, and I'll give credit to the scouts or to Keith Allen, whoever it was that made the selections on these players, the guys that we had that were role players there were workers. I mean, they were workers. They come and give their best every night. They might not have listed up great on the talent side of it, but there's that other side of the ledger that you never see in the scouting reports. That's heart, grit, determination, self-pride, and the various other words that go along with it. Well, our role players, all of them, every one of them had that. And they contributed more to the success in the early 80s there of the Flyer team than maybe Barber, Clark, and Leach, maybe. I mean, there's different types of contributions they were making. With the Kings team, they don't have that type of extra player. What they have are more of the guys on this side of the list that can shoot the puck nice. When they have it, they make a nice play. But when they don't have the puck, they don't know how to get it back. Some of them may not want to get it back the way you have to get it back. We won't go in the corners a great deal for it. And they're not a hard-practicing, hard-working team.
Los Angeles has been a team that traditionally does not do well. Victories are few and far between. That would concern any coach, but Pat is worried about it for other reasons.
It's the mental part that concerns me. I'm disappointed, but we'll get by it. You know, some of the fellows now are pressing real hard to do the right things, and often they'll end up doing the wrong things, and that's handling the pressure of the situation. Now we seem to be concentrating on, oh, geez, don't lose it. Well, there's a negative thought to begin with. Don't lose it. And as a result, we, a 20-man group, goes into that negative, defensive, don't lose it shell. And you don't protect leads that way.
Are you content? Are you happy?
No, not yet. Well, I should say that. I'm buried in something that I haven't allowed myself to feel much emotion about yet. I have tried to direct my energies to helping these players be as good as they can possibly be. That would make me happy if I can get them to performing well.
Ken Adelberger, Prism Sports.
Incidentally, you may have heard Pat Quinn there talking about Charlie Simmer. Simmer, of course, has since been traded to the Boston Bruins for a first-round draft pick. In most of their games so far this young season, the Flyers have either blown their opponents off the ice or they have fought like mad and battled from behind. Last night was an example of the Flyers' comeback power. At the Auditorium in Buffalo, they hadn't won in a while, and in the second period, the Sabres are up 2-1 when Brad Marsh, in the crease, grabs the puck. And the penalty shot is called. There you see the referee signaling to center ice. John Tucker brings it in, gets Pelle Lindbergh backing up just a bit, and scores to make it 3-1. But the Flyers come back. They make it 3-2. Brian Propp, his 9th of the year at 15:07. And then the Flyers tie it at 3. Brad McCrimmon, the wrist shot for the winner. Well, in case you're interested and you're just joining us, the Flyers have completed the first period of play. Flyers and Jets right here on Prism. And the teams are tied at 2 after 1. The second period is coming up. But first, look back at tonight's opening period with highlights and commentary from Eddie Van Impe and the Chieftain, Bobby Taylor. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Mark. Well, Eddie, if you took a look at the shot totals, the Flyers really outplayed the Winnipeg Jets, but we're tied at 2.
That we are, and in fact, the 2 Jets goals were unusual goals, especially the second one. The Mullen batted the puck right out of the air, and I think it kind of startled Bobby Froese. He didn't really expect the shot, but it went in the net.
That's from playing stickball on the streets of New York when he was a kid.
That could be, because that's where I guess the stickball originated, either there or here in Philadelphia.
Right. Mark Howe had an outstanding first period. In fact, he was the guy that got the Flyers on the scoreboard for the first time.
Well, Mark Howe's had a strong early season, and it was just a good play by Ronnie Sutter, just able to control the puck. One-handed, he swipes it out in front of the net. Mark Howe, all alone, one-on-one with the goaltender, just lets the goaltender make that first move and just beats him with a good, clean wrist shot.
You know, that's something that you really don't like to do as a goaltender, is to make that first move. But when you got a guy like Howe, you hope that he makes the mistake.
Well, especially when he's on his forehand, Bobby. You can just see him. He's got on his forehand. His head is up. He's looking to see what in the heck the goaltender's going to do, when he's going to make that move. And as soon as the goaltender does, off goes that quick wrist shot and beats him.
He had to be surprised as well, being that wide open in front of the net there. It seemed like all 3 Winnipeg Jets were over at Ronnie Sutter.
Well, I think that you mentioned there was one right on him, and the other 2 that should have been in front of the net actually were like following the puck like a magnet. They were going closer to the puck. And all of a sudden, Sutter swiped that with one hand, and Mark Howe didn't have anybody within him, other than the goaltender, within about 20 feet.
Well, Flyers didn't lead throughout that whole first period, and the goal that they got the tie on was another nice play, and again, Mark Howe was instrumental in that play.
The Flyers were breaking out of their own zone and actually going across the blue line there at the 2-on-1. Mark Howe gets himself off the angle. The defenseman goes down. The goaltender goes down. He's trying to throw it up over top of the goaltender. Now, Zezel doesn't go behind the net. He stays right there, and as a result, it hits him in the chest. It gets it out in front of the net, and Brian Propp He was able to jam that thing home. But again, Zezel, if he goes for that skate around in the corner and behind that net, he's not going to make that play, and there's not going to be a goal. So it's an excellent play by the rookie.
Also, big number 12 was cruising in there. Had Brian Propp missed on that shot, he had the whole open net.
Timmy Kerr was coming in there looking for that loose puck. If Brian Propp doesn't jam it home, there's nobody there other than Timmy Kerr in the puck. And believe me, he doesn't miss those tap-ins, does he?
When you take a look at the shot total and you take a look at the way the play was going in that first period, how do you adjust, or what do you do to improve in the second?
Well, I'll tell you what, Bobby, I really don't think the Flyers really played that well in the first period. I think that there had maybe a little letdown from last night, that big game in Buffalo, and as a result, I think you're going to see him get stronger as the game goes on.
Well, now let's go up to Gene Hart for a look at the scoring summary and an out-of-town look at the scoreboard.
Well, they alternated goals. Winnipeg scoring the first and third, the Flyers the second and fourth. It was young Dave Ellett, the defenseman from the blue line, at 4:58, his second from Horachuk and McLean. Then, as Eddie and Bobby described, McCrimmon and Ron Sutter set up Howe's fourth at 7:24, skating 3 aside. Power play goal by Brian Mullen, his second of the year, at 11:34 from Horachuk and Steen. And then Propp from Howe and Zezel, his 10th at 16:52. And for Brian Propp, he has scored goals in 6 straight games, 7 of his last 8, and he's just 2 away from the team record of goals in consecutive games held by Ron Flockhart at 8 in a row. Lots of action in the league. The Islanders 2-0 over Montreal in the second. Mike Bossy now has scored in all 10 Islander games this year. That ties his own personal mark and is 3 away from the league record held by Charlie Simmer of 13 with the Los Angeles Kings. Rick Middleton giving Boston a 1-0 lead at home against Quebec. Calgary now has moved up 3-2 against the Detroit Red Wings in the second period. Both wing goals scored by Ron Duguay, his 7th and 8th of the season. Teams have come on the ice. Froze to the left, Flyer goaltender to our right, Mark Behrens. The referee, Terry Gregson from Guelph, Ontario. 4th year in the league, he's 31. And the Flyers will have 3 seconds left on a power play, with Paul McLean finishing off 2 for tripping, but nothing much should happen there. Flyers again back home on Saturday evening on the radio network and Prism at 7:30 with the North Stars. That same pairing next Saturday night, the 9th of November, with the St. Louis Blues. Remember, that's Friday night, the 9th, and Sunday the 11th, right here with the Edmonton Oilers. All right, McLean in the penalty box, but he's not going to sit. He'll be out moments after the droppage of the puck. Flyers moving right with Rich and Ron Sutter and Carson, Howe and McCrimmon. And it's Horachuk out there along with McLean. And now Mullen has over the line. Howe works to his left, pivots at the blue line, rolls in weakly, and the Jets take it off. And looking up at it, there's Babbage to Horachuk over the line. Drops. But Howe getting up after falling, picks it up and sends it up to Lindsey Carson. Over the line, and he's given a hip check, puts it in front while sliding into the corner off that bump by Robert Picard. But before Rich Sutter could get to it, the goaler Mark Behrens falls on it just to his front left for the stoppage of play. Little leg check in there by Picard to prevent Carson from turning the defenseman in on net. Willett Norris with Mark Barron again, played 4 games with the 1984 U.S. Olympic team at Yugoslavia and Sarajevo. Flyers have Zezel, and he's got a string going. He's picked up points in 8, now 9 of the 11 games in which he's played. Zezel, Tocchet, and Brian Propp along with McCrimmon and Howe. And it is Picard with Randy Carlyle, and again the line of Horachuk, McLean, and Mullen. Flyers try to go back to the point. They do. McCrimmon looks. Screen shot broken down. Flyers in the corner. Centering pass by Tocchet's broken up. Flyers try to contain along their offensive right side. And the Jets shoot it out and hit Willard Norris. And we might point out our good friend Willard Norris' 18th year in the league as a linesman. On Saturday, as Ron Wilson looks on from the Winnipeg bench, on Saturday, Mr. Norris, in his 18th year, officiated his 1,400th game, puts him 3rd in line in seniority all-time behind the retired Neil Armstrong and John D'Amico. That goal, by the way, for Bossy at Montreal, the Islanders leading 2-0, was his 14th of the year, and he's right in there with Gretzky in the battle for the league points leadership.
The Flyers get it at the point. Thomas Eriksson's shot is blocked. Kerr, right out in front, shot off the top blocker and butt end of the stick of Barron as he got it up too high. Horachuk behind the net, make that Boschman, along with Jim Kite, kicks out to Craven. Craven looking for support. Centering pass, blocked off by Babbitt. Craven again in front. And Marsh had his back to the play going up to the blue line after he'd come in from the left point. Skips past him into the Flyer zone with Thomas Eriksson. Puts it up on the left side. And there's Prop Poulin through to Kerr, unable to handle it, and the Jets, Kite sends it to center. Then Poulin waiting outside the line for his line to clear is set up by Lukowicz with a hard check from the back. The Jets take it off. Flyers intercept offensive left corner. Craven around to the offensive right side. There'll be a battle there. The Flyers and the Jets, right into the slot to Poulin, but he couldn't handle it, and Scott Arneal will break out on the right. At the Flyer line, tries to penetrate, taken down by the Flyers. There's a play by the Jets in front, taken away from Arneal, and then Bob Froese hits his own man in the back as he tried to clear out, and the Jets keep it in, and then it's given away by Lukowicz at center. Marsh through with Craven, over the line, Craven in, Marsh in front, and just had his stick pulled away at the last second by Jim Kite, with a rebound along the right boards, drilled down on the net by Philadelphia's Dave Brown coming off the bench, and grabbed by Behrens for the stoppage of play.
Laurie Boschman, playing in his third team in the National Hockey League, #1 draft pick of Toronto back in 1979 out of Brandon. He was traded to Edmonton for Walt Podubny, and then he was traded to Winnipeg for Willie Lindstrom, 1983.
Offensive right circle, Hackborn out there along with Sinisalo and Brown, Hospodar and Crosman, and for Winnipeg, Steen, Lundholm, and Smale. Flyers at the point, shot right over the top of the net off Hospodar's effort. Flyers Brown tries to drill it in, it's kicked out, and racing for it is Bengt Lundholm, loses the edge, and the Flyers cleared out of their zone. Hospodar up at center, taken away by the Jets, taken back, and then given away by the Flyers at center ice, and Doug Smale drills it into the Philadelphia zone. Crosman out to the left side, fans, tries to get it out again, it goes to the blue line. Tim Waters gathers it in at center ice as the Jets work it around the horn. Ellett sends it in as he's hit by Brown, and the Flyers clear it out on the left wing, and Sinisalo along with Hackborn. Brown breaking for the net, dropped to Hackborn, no shot, puts it in across the slot behind Brown as Sinisalo in front. Poorly designed play as Lundholm was right there to pick it away and send it all the way down. We play 2:40 into a scoreless second period from the Spectrum. Winnipeg and the Flyers tied at 2 as Crossman works past the check of Ron Wilson at center ice. But then it is Thomas Steen slowing down Hackborn and forcing him back in deep. Look out! The play was made by the Flyers very carelessly, and we're going to have a penalty against Winnipeg out of all of this. At 2:58, the Jets. Thomas Steen goes off. Flyer power play coming up with our game tied at 2.
Holding will be the call on Thomas Steen. It'll come at 2:58. I'm going to question that call by referee Gregson as Hackborn was trying to make the play, but you got to be very careful. When you're the last man back and nobody between you and the goaltender, you got to make the easy play, the sure play. And keep that puck from the center of the ice. Steen forecheck, did it very, very well. And in the eyes of the referee Gregson, he pulled down Lenny Hackborn. That constitutes a minor penalty at 2:58. Flyers on their 4th power play.
As Mrs. Brian Propp across the way looks on, we have the Flyers with an anemic 0 for 3 in the first period on the power play, and on the season they're now 9 for 42. Randy Carlisle gets the draw and sends it in to the Flyer zone as Philadelphia has McCrimmon back with Howe, and up front Zezel, Propp, and Kerr. Zezel through on the right side, hooked off his skate, pulled down, and the puck comes to center. McCrimmon is stripped to the puck. Ron Wilson shorthanded, going in, tries to go around behind the net, stuffer, and McCrimmon broke up an open net by Horachuk. In front it comes again, but Horachuk's pass is scooted away from Ron Wilson, as Wilson appeared to have the open net, except for McCrimmon, who initially made the bad play. Flyers drilled it in behind the Winnipeg net. Kerr puts it to Propp. Propp offensive right corner, and Zezel rolls it up back to the point to McCrimmon. Back to Zezel at the hash marks. Into the circle. Propp can only make a play back to the point. McCrimmon into the near circle. It rolls off the outside of the net to Zezel. Zezel back to the point. Howe, a one-timer tip right on front. There's a play by Zezel. Shot. Hit the post off Kerr. Rebound back to Howe. Left circle drive. That hit Behrens as they work at the side of the net. And the Jets clear it out.
You know, an interesting thing about that whole play, all 4 Winnipeg defenders were within 10 feet of the goal, and those points were wide open.
Now into the left wing corner. In front, Hackthorne has it tapped away by the back checker Ron Wilson. Now Boschman is out there as the Flyers lift in, offensive left corner. After it is Randy Carlisle, looks to wrap it around. Kerr tries to keep it in along the boards, but it ricochets at an angle through the Philadelphia defense to center ice. Hackthorne over the line to the left side. Craven drops a pass in front, shot by Crosman. And Barron huffed the post to his right to keep that one away. And Carlisle drills it all the way down. Flyers getting action, but still no cigar. We have 10 seconds on the steam penalty. Crosman up the middle of the ice to Hackthorne. At the line against Kite. Drops it in to Craven. Taylor. Again, Crosman shot blocked off as Craven is knocked down in front. The Jets penalty is over. Look out. There's a break in to Smale, but obviously a 2-line pass for the stoppage of play. Penalty box empty. 5:01 gone. Scoreless second period. The Jets and Flyers tied at 2.
Well, the Flyers just coming off a 2-minute power play had a couple of good opportunities. They were able to move the puck around and get some good chances. But down at the Flyers end, Brad McCrimmon was able to make a good play as the Flyers had the man advantage, went down blocking that pass across. It was going out to Howardchuk. It would have been wide open in the slot area, and on the backhand around in behind the net. McCrimmon just follows the play, goes down, takes the pass away, keeps the puck in behind the Flyers net. Score deadlocked at 2 apiece.
Flyers now, counting the last failure at Minnesota in that game won by Philadelphia 7-2, are 0 for 14 over the last 3.5 games on the power play. Puck comes to center ice off the stick of water, slapped in deep by Brad Marsh, who's out there with Thomas Eriksson, and it's Rich and Ron Sutter with Carson. The Jets get it up on the right wing at center ice. This 2-line pass again. And we get a stoppage of play as Wilson is out with McBain and Pooley.
You know, Bobby, isn't it something how the power play blows hot and cold like that, goes in streaks?
Boy, I'll tell you, Eddie, you know, they were really clicking at close to a 30% ratio up until that game in Minnesota. And as Gene mentioned, going scoreless over that number of games has dropped him down to about a 22%, which is not that great. Just had a look at Andrew McBain for the Winnipeg Jets. Second year, 19 years old, another #1 draft pick for these Winnipeg Jets, out of North Bay, home of Billy Barber.
Ron Sutter to Lindsey Carson in front. The Jets do a nice job of closing off the slot as coming in from the right point was Thomas Eriksson. We have a stoppage of play, and Mr. Bossy has just scored his 15th 3-0 Island.
Boy, what a start he's having. Holy cow. You know, Mark Barron has really had an outstanding game thus far. You know, 23 years of age, 6'2", 185 pounds, and you can see why he was voted the best goaltender in college for 2 of the 4 years that he attended.
Flyers win the draw, but Jets gain the puck as Carlisle rolls it around behind the net. There's Picard up along his left wing side and into center ice. Trailing deep into the zone to the right of Froese goes Eriksson. Froese sets it up at the goal line. Eriksson a wraparound to the far side, picked off by Pooley. In front, kicked away by Eriksson. The Jets throw it in front again. Backhand shot, short side on the opportunity by McBain. As the Jets have worked very little for their opportunities. They've just been presented both goals. One from the blue line. There's a shot short side. A score short side. It got inside Froese. Ron Wilson. And the Jets score again on their 11th shot and lead it 3-2.
Well, I'll tell you, it's just been one of those games where the shot was, looked like Bob Froese had everything screened off or covered up as he moved right out there. Did not really see it. He had all the holes, or at least he thought he had all the holes, and it just hit the inside of his pad, the one that's short between the pad and that blocking glove, and just had enough steam on it to bounce behind him and go inside that short side to give Winnipeg the lead again. 3-2. It comes at 5:57 here in the second period.
It's Ron Wilson's second. McBain will get one assist. The Jets cleared around behind the net. There's an open man in front, and it's poked away. And again, the Flyers are playing sluggish hockey in this period. McBain, the one assist at 5:57. That was the Jets' 10th shot. So they've scored 3 times on 10 efforts.
Well, that third goal by the Jets, given the 3-2 lead, was a direct result of Flyers' mistakes or mishandling the puck in their own zone.
Back to McLean's shot. Rose grabs that one, plays off behind, and it's wound by Howe to Kerr and up through Poulin at center ice. Rink wide to McCrimmon. Over the line, down that left side, right past McLean. Left wing corner, behind the net. Plays it off to Craven. Craven back behind the net to Kerr. Kerr look for McCrimmon in front. Pass is blocked. Behrens closes off. Kerr around for a stuffer. Behrens has that. It's in the crease and cleared away near side by the Jets' McLean. Right wings at center, and Horachuk through against Howe and McCrimmon. Offside to his left, though, is Brian Mullen.
They've added a second assist to that third Winnipeg goal. Paul Pooley will pick up that second assist along with McBreen. Timmy Kerr trying to get that stuffer in there, just came around quickly, and big goaltender Mark Barron got over there very fast to cover that short side, and Flyers had the two men that was in front of the net carried out of the play by Winnipeg Jets, and they were able to carry out of trouble.
Well, the Jets, the first team to score as many as 3 goals at the Spectrum this year. Vancouver 2, Pittsburgh 2, Washington 2, St. Louis 2. So it was 2, 2, 2, too good to last.
Exactly.
Philadelphia goes with Hackworn, Brown, and Sinisalo. Crosman with Hospital has the draw along his right side. Puts it up on the left wing at center, and Sinisalo through. Against Boschman is out with Arneal and Lukowicz. Defensively, they have Waters with Ellett. Jets out of their own left wing corner, clear to the point. Hospodar puts it in. Brown tries to take a backhander from the right circle, deflected into the Jets' defensive right corner. Waters gives it away to Brown. Brown tied up by Boschman. They dig out of that left wing corner. It goes, though, past Crosman off the stick of Arneal to center ice. Hospodar waits for the clearance, and again a wraparound, but he gets it up high. It caroms up off the glass and out of the rink for the stoppage of play. 12:46 remaining, second period at the Spectrum. Winnipeg 3, Flyers 2.
While Mario Marois has scored, as the Quebec Nordiques have tied the Boston Bruins now in the second period. The two teams are at 1 apiece. And Hospodar getting that shot up, and you'll find that every rink, the boards do not play true when you fire it around there, and especially if you get it up around the glass. They hit that little metal holder that holds the sections of glasses in place, and it can go any place.
Jane Hardlong with Bobby Taylor and Eddie Van Ipp at the Spectrum, 3-2 Winnipeg. And Flyers go Zezel with Tocchet and Propp. Propp, who has now picked up goals in his last 6 games, just 2 shy of the Flyer record of 8, set in February of '82 by Ron Flockhart. Jets get it, drive it in, and out there they have Smale along with Thomas Steen and Bent Lundholm. Puck kicks into center ice. Jets off the near side, waiting for the line to clear. That gives Eriksson the chance to race through into the zone, taken away. Jets don't clear out. Right up the center, Tocchet. Nice move. Lost it off the backhander as he tried to swing off to his left for the shot. And the Jets dig it out, work along the left side, and Steen clears into the neutral zone. Man at the line, Philadelphia. Behind the defense was Lundholm, but Eriksson digs it up and drives it into the zone as it clears out along the left wing at center ice. Puck behind the Winnipeg Jet. Good check thrown in there by Philadelphia's Tocchet, but Smale comes out at center for Winnipeg. At the Flyer line, try to give and go with Thomas Steen. Puck behind the Philadelphia net. Marsh screens it off. In there to help out Philadelphia's Peter Zezel, and that allows Tocchet to drive it into neutral zone. Propp puts pressure on Babbitt. He throws it from blue line to blue line, controlled by Marsh. Marsh up through, past Tocchet, past Babbage, offensive left corner. Ron Sutter there in front, shot! What a marvelous save off Propp by Barron.
Boy, I'll tell you, Propp was doing a great job going to net, and as we get all the different players milling around, pushing and shoving with the linesman, quick to get in there to separate the two players.
Well, they have a melee in there. All Winnipeg Jets were in the corner, and only 2 Flyers, Ronnie Sutter and Ricky Tocchet. But Propp had an excellent chance to redeflect that pass right past Barron, but he got over there with those long legs of his, and he's made a number of big saves for the Winnipeg Jets. If you were to look at why the score's at 3-2, you got to look at that young man.
Offensive right circle, Rich and Ron Sutter with Carson, McCrimmon, and Howe. And it's Horachuk with McLean and Mullen. Flyers get it back to McCrimmon. Screen shot wide to the long side as it found a hole and got through. Howe on the rebound at center ice. Spins away from McLean. Puts it up to Ron Sutter. He tries to go in. It's blocked off, but Lindsey Carson fires across ice, offensive right corner, where it's taken by Kite. Wrap around, picked off at the far side by Ron Sutter, tying up his man. Babbage comes in for Winnipeg to make sure it doesn't get away from McLean. Flyers will get an offensive left circle draw. 8:43 gone, second period. Ron Wilson has given the Jets a 3-2 lead.
Flyers out shooting Winnipeg 6-4 here in the second period. 23-11 the total on the game thus far. But shots totals mean nothing. It's the amount of chances you get and if you take advantage of
Mistakes. That's right. Jets get the draw, and Babbage will lead to charge up the middle of the ice. He's got Mullen on his left, tries to race his way through. Flyers take it off, but don't follow up the loose puck. It bounces to Howe. Pivots out of that left corner against Mullen. Is taken down. Tries to poke it up, but goes under the skates of McLean. He's harassed by Rich Sutter, and it kicks behind the net to Mullen and the Jets. To McLean. Boy, he fired off an angle, weird one, and it bounced off Froze in front. As back comes Carson at the line. Down in the left wing corner. Ron Sutter in front. And a nice play in there by Kite. Tied up the puck and the stick. So Sutter couldn't get a deflection. But the Flyers are moving to the puck well. And the net as Babbage takes out Ron Sutter, and Paul McLean brings it up on the right wing at center ice for Winnipeg. Taken off by Craven, but the Flyers do not get it out. Horachuk toward the net, and it was tipped wide by McLean. Ron Wilson, offensive corner, is skated off. Flyers behind the net, working to the near side. Nice screen by Philadelphia's Hospodar, allows Crosman to work it into the neutral zone. And the Jets play it back the other way. Ron Wilson is run over by Hospodar. As the Flyers crank at the far side, off the skate into the Philadelphia zone. Crosman tries to go out. It's kept in. Philadelphia in possession, and up ice comes Poulin. Right wings the curve, but off his stick. The Jets fall. Flyers penetrate, but Hospodar does not see Poulin, still trying to come out. 10:01 remaining in the second period. Jets 3, Flyers 2.
Well, it's time now to give a mention to Jamie McVicker, our statistician, has become an uncle for the first time.
Face-off just outside the Jet line along their left wing. Poulin with Craven and Kerr. As it's interesting again, the adjustments that Mike Keenan makes in lines. Oh, there's a steal. McLean in front, shot, and Froze with an embarrassing saving play for Philadelphia. Now up ice, they go up the middle. Now Poulin works to his left, but back-checking McVeigh knocks it off his stick. Jets clear, and they got a break at center ice. 4-on-1 with just Crosman back. There's McVeigh in front to Wilson, and a bad pass to Paul Pooley into the right wing. 4-on-1, and they botch it. Centering play in front. Rolls off the stick of Philadelphia's Craven, the Pros, and we get a stoppage of play.
Well, that well-oiled machine we're used to seeing over the first 10 games is just not here tonight. The Flyers are making mistakes in their own zone, and a lot of them are fundamental mistakes where they're getting trapped up in the offensive zone, and that time they had 4 Winnipeg Jets breaking out of 1 lone defender, and a bad pass really is what helped save the play, as Crossman was the only defender back. Pass was wide and wild into the corners, and it gave the Flyers enough time to get back into their own zone, but basically fundamental mistakes in their own zone is the reason why the score is 3-2 for the Jets.
Offensive left circle, Boschman to Lukowicz, and he shot wide. Rebound played by Picard in the corner. Marsh takes it off. He's checked, but Lindsey Carson comes up the center with Rich and Ron Sutter. Ron will be offside as he preceded the play. Bobby and Eddie, Paul Reinhardt has just scored at Detroit for Calgary. They lead 6-2, and that's not significant, but the fact that he's a defenseman and it's his 9th goal of the year is.
Well, you know, that's the division that produces Paul Coffey, who scored 30-plus goals last year as well. And
he had over 100 points, didn't he,
yeah.
Coffey?
But I'll tell you, you know, on the one side, we talk about how the Flyers have made that mistake with a 4-on-1. You can imagine what Winnipeg coach Barry Long would be upset. A 4-on-1 and not even get a shot on goal. Bad pass by Wilson to Paul Pooley.
Hackborn, Brown, and Sinisalo. Flyers, Thomas Eriksson checks down that right side behind the net. Looks to center. He's bumped in there by both Lukowicz and Randy Carlyle. Now got some help in the corner by Dave Brown. In comes Sinisalo. Flyers have 3 men in the offensive left corner to the Jets 2, and we get a standoff.
Well, I'll tell you, everybody's drawing a crowd there, and Thomas Eriksson moving down that boards. And Dave Brown, after that fight with Kite, had to go to the Flyers dressing room for some repairs and is back out now in the second period, but did not play the remainder of that first period after he and Big Kite went at each other at the 12:49 mark. 3-2 the score here. Jets leading the Flyers. 8:59 remains in this second period. This is the type of game that you really got to make sure you keep picking away, keep within 1, or at least get that game tied, because the way it turns out now, if Winnipeg gets a 2-goal lead, it might be tough to come back on them.
All right, Philadelphia goes with Kerr, Prop, and Zezelhow and McCrimmon. It's Picard out there with Carlisle, and they have Steen, Lundholm, and Doug Smale. Puck back to the blue line, and Howe cannot contain. They work back at their own line while the line clears for Philadelphia, and Prop drills it in. Kerr in after it, right on top of Picard. Flashes it out. Prop will keep it in. Tries to drive it toward Kerr. Does behind the net. Rebound pass to Zezel. Zezel holds, tied up behind the net, taken off the play. Behind goes Carlisle, works out to his right side and puts it up on the left wing. Smale at center ice. Through, trying to find Lundholm, but he was spun around by the Flyer defense and goes in offside with 8:31 remaining second period. Spectrum score, Winnipeg 3, Philadelphia 2.
Winnipeg is really sending their sentiment in very deep. They're making sure they make a concerted effort of stopping and making and being right on the doorstep along with Timmy Kerr. Thomas Steen, each time he's been out there against Kerr, has been right next to him.
Also, the Jets are quick to get back in their own defensive zone when the Flyers are on the attack to get all 5 men back in that zone quickly, and that could really help out your defenseman, your goaltender.
You know, this score is not surprising off. This score is not surprising off last year. All 3 games, 2 of them won by Philadelphia, 1 in overtime, were 1-goalers. 3-2, 4-3, and 7-6. McCrimmon up at the Jet line, drives it in, and Winnipeg drives it right back out. Shots in this period are 6-6 after the Flyers had a 17-7 margin in the first period. Now they get it through on the near side, but the Flyers really look disoriented as the line was all shifted to the right. Nobody clearly in possession of the puck. Stoppage of play, 8:07 remaining second period, 3-2 Winnipeg.
Bobby, I really expected the Flyers to go stronger here in the second period. Yeah, I would think so. They've been a very strong third period club, so maybe they can regroup during the intermission. But Dave Babbage, brother of Wayne,
5th year in the league, Eddie, and he's only 23 years of age. Another #1 draft pick of these Winnipeg Jets from Portland. And when we talk about #1 picks that the Winnipeg Jets have had, you're talking of the players that go in about the first 5 or 6 overall.
Craven, Kerr, and Prop. Flyers get the draw, but the Jets get the puck. And Mullen tries to play through, but taken away by Howe and Crossman. And McCrimmon at the Flyer line up through to Kerr. Jets have 4 men back. Kerr drills it in. Barron steers it off to his left, and McLean drills it all the way down the ice, and there'll be no icing as McCrimmon will catch up to it before it hits the goal line. Round behind the net away from Dale Horchuk. Works out to the left side and up through to Craven. Just as he hits the red line, Mullen breaks it free and drives it back down that right side behind the Philadelphia net. McLean in there, checked hard, checked and taken down, centers, and it comes right through the goal mouth as the Flyers. Craven to the near side to Howe, and up 2-on-1. Kerr with Prop and just Babbage back. Kerr in, tried to feed Prop, and Babbage broke it up as the Jets have all of the defensive answers to Philadelphia in this period. Mullen back and rolls it in as the Jets swing off and make a line change. Steen, Lundholm, and Smale on now. As Ron Sutter outlets left side, and Lindsey Carson through to Rich Sutter. Taken down, followed up as Ron, can't find the handle. The Jets at center ice looking to back pass through and find Ellett over the line. And back checking Philadelphia, Ron Sutter takes it away. Up through on the left wing, nobody there as Lindsey Carson is stride away. And Waters goes left side to Ellett. The defenseman back right wing over the line. They got a man there. Up the middle, shot. And that play was made off Lundholm by Philadelphia's Froze and net. And with 6:46 remaining second period, it remains 3-2.
Again, the Flyers outnumbered in their own zone. As a result, Winnipeg was able to get a pretty good opportunity. Brad Marsh backing in a little bit, giving him that shot from the hash marks. The shot was taken. Bobby Froze was quick to make that save and cover up that loose rebound, but you don't want to back in, give him too much room, and he also used Marsh for a screen, so Froze had to be quick to make that save.
When you're not getting much action in and around that net and the puck is bouncing around for you, it's wise for a goaltender to freeze it as often as possible. Froze has just faced 14 shots so far in this game, and you really fight your concentration when you're getting that little work.
At the point, Ellett, no shot, rebound behind the net. Flyers will dig it out of their left wing corner, but it goes to the point to Smale. Froze without a stick. Shot, short side save by Froze as he went to the pads and then put out the left glove to hang on.
Would a goaltender be yelling there, Bobby?
6:35 remaining in the second period. Jets 3, Flyers 2.
I would think so, Eddie, but it was a bad play on the part of Froze, is because the player was going behind the net. He tried to use the stick to slow him down a bit, but when you're that far gone, you have that threat of him coming by there and taking that stick out from under you. Lundholm did that, and you're very vulnerable when you don't have your goal stick.
unbelievable. You don't feel right balance-wise, and Froese was fortunate enough to make the save, and then, of course, he quickly jumped on it to force a face-off.
Also, a goaltender doesn't have anything to hold him up to lean on. Philadelphia has Tocchet out with Sinisalo and Poole and Marsh and Thomas Eriksson. And it's Steen, Lundholm, and Smale with Waters and Ellett. Face-off offensive right circle. Back to Ellett. No shot. Flyers offensive left corner. In there is Steen along with Marsh. They battle for the puck. Marsh scoops it up on the near side. Tocchet strip. Side of the net. Lundholm a short side shot as he tried to make Froese move off the post and missed the net. And then as it caroms out of that corner to the left of Froese, he grabs. And it is still 3-2.
Well, Winnipeg is starting to put a little pressure on there, and the puck is just bouncing around. The Flyers haven't been able to really get any kind of a clean pass to get out of trouble. Steen had an excellent opportunity as coming in from the side with that backhand, and a good play on his part because he was going very high on the short side. That was Lundholm, rather. And Bobby Froese had committed himself, which left that top corner on the short side wide open. Had he been able to hit it, Winnipeg might have had a 2-goal lead.
Shots this period now are Winnipeg 8, Philadelphia 6, 23-15 the game for the Flyers. But the big period for Philadelphia this year has been the second, outscoring the opposition 21-7. But the Jets have really put a clamp on them. Puck behind the Philadelphia net as they win the draw. House pass is smothered. Gets right on top of Philadelphia. Howe tries to outlet the Kerr. And on the left wing at center ice, Zezel through with Prop 2-on-2. They got a trailer McCrimmon. And Zezel rolls into the left wing corner. Prop in there along with Randy Carlyle. Puck broken free by the defenseman. Then Kerr battles for it behind the net with Ron Wilson. Zezel takes him off. In goes Zezel to take it off to the side of the net. Prop in front. Hayes knocked down as the shot is wide. Howe in the corner. Goes looks for Spann in front. Comes around Stuffer as Prop was knocked down. Centering pass back to Howe. At the right circle. Drive. Save. Kicked behind by Zezel. Taken away by Randy Carlyle. Hayes pulled down. Flyers Kerr. Back behind the net. Gets it in front. And the Jets hand pass it near side. And it goes behind to Zezel in front. No one there. And Ron Wilson comes out along with Pooley on his right. And McBain on his left as he goes over the line right boards. In on the net. Throws, steers it aside. And the Flyers battle and control it in the corner to the right of the net. Mark Howe left winging it, and McCrimmon brings it into the neutral zone at the line with 5:12 remaining second period. 1 goal in this session by Winnipeg's Ron Wilson, and they lead at 3-2. They work out quickly at center, and Boschman is taken off the play as the Flyers Hospodar falls. But there is Lindsey Carson working way wide to his left, puts it up the middle of the ice to Ron Sutter. Tries to get past his man, rolls it into the zone, but brother Ron is offside. Well, the Flyers are banging the bodies around a little bit here now. Maybe that'll pick up the pace because their offense has really been sputtering here in the second period after coming off a real strong performance last night in Buffalo. It just seems the Flyers are just one step behind, just not able to get anything going to really put the pressure on the Winnipeg Jets. You know, I think what happens, Eddie, is that, you know, they got a lot of shots, and Barron has played very, very well for the Winnipeg Jets, but they've been very vulnerable defensively, so they know that. And I think what has happened now, they're starting to concentrate a little bit more on their defensive assignments rather than taking it all out offensively to the Jets. Craven Brown centered by Hackborn with Hospodar and Crossman. The Jets, oh, there's a bad play in front. Hackborn off the skates, rolls to the near side. Craven had it go behind him. Then he pokes it behind the net. Dave Brown is there, looks to make a play. Boschman takes it away, but Brown takes him into the corner to the right of the Winnipeg net. 2 Flyers in there, 2 Winnipeg Jets. And we got a face-off standoff. And now we got Boschman, and Brown goes after Boschman. And he's grabbed, and Hospodar's in there, and we got a scramble behind the net. We should have a third man in, I think, as well. Well, we had a Winnipeg Jet come in there very quickly when Brown and then Boschman were going to pair off. But I have a feeling that it was either, I'm pretty sure it was Scott Arneal who got in there very quickly, who was trying to take a hold of Brown, but they saw a big pile up in behind the net to Mark Barron's right. And it was Arneal who got in there very quickly to grab a hold of Dave Brown. With 4:31 remaining in the second period, penalties will be handed out by Terry Gregson. And it might be majors because Brown is making his way towards the Flyers dressing room. 4:31 remain in the second period at the Spectrum. Winnipeg 3, Philadelphia 2. Well, Boschman is headed over to the penalty box, so he'll pick up one, but it appeared there could have been a third man in call as the play started in the corner. Boschman and Brown were looking at each other, and all of a sudden, the gloves go down.
Arneal should be getting something for coming in.
I would have to think a third man in or something there, because Boschman and Brown were actually poking away at one another, and then the second player came into the play and actually took part. So as a result, we'll just have to wait and see what happened, but Brown is already headed to the Flyers dressing room.
But remember, they made that little codicil in that third man rule in several years ago, where if the third man in did not give an advantage to his player, but merely was going in to protect, the referee could ignore it.
Well, they never got it really started in anything going there, but they could have picked up a minor for roughing. But nothing has come up in the guard.
16,
Yeah, let's listen.
Laurie Boschman, 2 minutes for roughing. Flyers penalty number 21, Dave Brown, a double minor, 4 minutes for roughing. Winnipeg penalty number 11, Scott Arneal, a game misconduct.
Well, they have
penalties come at 15 minutes, 29 seconds.
I guess they have given that out. Arneal gets the game misconduct, and that has been for being the second man into an altercation. And Terry Gregson, the referee, is explaining things to Dale Howarchuk right now, and Brown was moving over. He thought he was getting a major, so now he's come back onto the ice, and he'll go into the penalty box, because he'll be able to come back out of the penalty box with 31 seconds remaining in this second period. Brown picks up a double minor for roughing, Boschman just 2 minutes for roughing, and Scott Arneal of the Winnipeg Jets will be taking an early shower.
I think Brown also had some equipment repairs, Bobby. His elbow pad looked like it had been torn. As a result, went over, and I think he had that repaired at the same time.
All right, there have been 14 penalties in the game, 8 to Winnipeg. Brown now with 9 minutes on the year, as he's had 3 penalties tonight. Boschman 16 minutes, and Arneal says goodnight with 23 minutes. Winnipeg is at 8 of those 14 penalties. They've had 3 out of the 5 in this second period, but they'll play 2 minutes at 4 skaters each, and then the Jets will get back Boschman, and they'll be on the power play. They're 1 for 2 on the evening, and that will occupy the 4 minutes to Brown, all but 31 seconds of this remaining portion of the second period. The Jets leading 3-2 on the goal by Ron Wilson. Now up ice, they come Smale down that right side, past Howe, going for the net of Steen, shot by Smale, blocked off, rolls to the side of the net, and the Jets throw it from anywhere. They were behind, and Steen put it in on Froze. Flyers cleared out. Kept in, though, by Randy Carlisle, and then the Flyers have to go back the other way. Mark Howe with it. 4 minutes remaining, second period. The big period of the year for Philadelphia has been number 2. There goes Ilkesen to Salowin, broken up. And as the follow-up put toward the net by Brad McCrimmon, the Jets take it away, but give it right back to McCrimmon along the near side. Tries to screen it into the corner behind the net to Craven. Craven to Sinisalo. Can't get by Carlisle. They battle behind the net. It's kicked free. Craven tries to come out in front. He's there. Shot. What a save by goaltender Barron. And a marvelous play by Craven. Now McCrimmon shoots toward the net. And Carlisle, as it bounced behind him at his feet, and that Barron, the goaltender, shoved it under the pads of his netminder for the stoppage.
Barron made a super save as the Flyers had the forechecking pressure on him, with Craven just picking the puck away from Randy Carlisle, eventually kicking it out in front of the net on the backhand. Plenty of net to shoot at, but the goaltender reacted quickly and made that pad save off Craven. Play just to develop back at the point. The shot was taken loose in front of the net. Goaltender goes down, covering up for that faceoff.
Philadelphia, Zezel and Kerr, along with Erickson and Crosman, and it's Steen out, along with Picard, Smale, and Randy Carlisle. Puck behind the net. You could hear the goaltender say, "You have time, you have time," and the outlet through to Smale at center. Drops off, and Steen will get a left circle drive, but fans and shanks the shot, and it goes behind the Philadelphia net onto the stick of Doug Crosman. It was a good percentage shot. Didn't get it. Crosman up the middle, 3-on-2 with Kerr and Zezel on his left. Over the line, stops. Into the corner, and it's blocked off by the skate of the Winnipeg defenseman Robert Picard, and the Jets shoot it to center ice. The Jets will get a man back in 30 seconds and will be on the power play as the Flyers work up to Kerr. He'll challenge Picard over the line into the left wing corner. Centers it through the goal mouth, but nobody there as Zezel was occupied on the way in by Carlisle. The Jets, Carlisle has it along his left wing, puts it at center ice. Jets through. Picard over the line to Ron Wilson. Drops back to Picard over line. Shot in front. There is Maury Lukowicz, but Philadelphia gets it up to Poulin. One-on-one at center ice with Picard. Poulin tries to drag it through and then go around it, but that was young Ellett who breaks the play up. And now the penalty is over, and the Jets on the second half of the Brown double minor are on the power play. They are 1 for 2 on the night, and on the season they are 6 for 32. Flyers can ill afford to give one away here. Now Howe at center ice, over the line, down that left wing side. In around Ellett, looks for a man in front. Comes to the near side, pivot, still controls the puck. In front, shot, rebound, they scramble, and Ellen gets it off to Barron, and he sits on it as Howe almost got short-handed to tie it.
What a super individual effort by Mark Howe. Was able to control that puck and drag the play and eventually break around. Fight off the defender, comes back to his forehand, comes out in front of the net, gets it up high, but the goaltender was there to make that save with a loose puck in the goal crease, and about 3 or 4 of the Winnipeg Jets right there to help their goaltender, pushing the Flyers out of the way. But Howe, on a great individual effort, comes around from behind the net, gets that shot off, and then the Winnipeg Jets defenders do the rest to help their goaltender.
1:36 remaining on the double minor to Dave Brown. 2:07 second period, 3-2 Winnipeg. Lindsey Carson out with Ron Sutter, and Howe remaining on with McCrimmon. Puck rolls through, and Mullen out there along with Horachuk and McLean. They bring it up the middle of the ice with Carlisle and Babbage. They roll through. Horachuk is cut off, dumped by Carlisle, and there's going to be a penalty against Philadelphia for tripping. Now they're really in the soup. 2 men short.
Brad McCrimmon will pick up that 2-minute minor as Horachuk was putting the dipsy doodle on him. Brad McCrimmon just gets his stick up underneath him, just pitchforks him, lifts him right up in the air and over his back and down on his head. So as a result, the Flyers are going to be short 2 men with Brown already off for another minute and 24 seconds from his double minor roughing penalties. Again, just gets the stick up underneath and just lifts Horachuk right up over his back, down on the top of his head. So the Flyers will be down 2 men.
For McCrimmon, that gives him penalty minutes 9 and 10, the Flyers' 7th penalty. But more importantly, they're down a 2-man disadvantage for 1 minute, 24 seconds. And boy, the Jets can smell now, hey guys, we can go into intermission by at least 2. Puck now goes back to the point. Steen over to the right side. Holding the puck is Babbage into the right wing corner. They got Horachuk out there along with McLean. Babbage back, and there goes Steen right on in. Open man at the side of the net. Straight away to Babbage. 40-footer, save in front. McLean can't find the handle. Now to Horachuk, looks for the open net. There it is. Score! Mullen.
Well, again, the 2-man disadvantage. The Flyers just could not gain possession of the puck to get it out of their own zone. As the Jets really had the pressure on them. The shot was taken from the point. The puck is loose in front of the net. Bobby Froese just can't get to it. It's kicked loose. Off to the side of the net is Mullen. Horachuk having a look, getting over there. Everyone's down and tangled up in front of the net, including goaltender Bobby Froese and Brad Marsh, and he puts it upstairs to give the Jets a 4-2 lead.
Well, the Flyers have been having trouble with their power play defense. 2 for 2 last night at Buffalo, and the Jets now 2 for 3. And they still have a minute 37 remaining on the Brad McCrimmon penalty. Mullen will get the goal, his 2nd of the night, both on the power play, and the Jets lead by 2. All right, Horachuk gets 1 assist. Horachuk and Babbage. Flyers can only lift in. Craven. Horachuk actually picks up his 3rd assist of the night. So the Flyers find themselves for the first time on the short end at home, and this time by 2. With a minute 5 remaining, 2nd period. A wraparound behind Froese. Jets will pick it up offensive left hash mark. The Horachuk's taken off, and Erickson gets it up to Marsh, who fails to get out. Works to the left side, slaps it, but Mullen keeps it in. Right wing corner. McLean in front to Horachuk, and he just had his stick lifted at the last second. Jets keep it in straight away. Mullen, left side. Carlisle off to the right side. Babbage with a big shot. Save, rebound in front. They sweep at it. And the Flyers trying to get it out of trouble, and it is cleared by Propp into the neutral zone. 37 seconds left on the penalty to McCrimmon. As the Jets work into the zone down that right side. Play is loose. Back to the point, Babbage. Looks toward the net, hits a skate in front, rolls to the near side, and Rich Sutter ought to really clear, but doesn't get it out. And the Jets keep it in. Lukowicz down in the near corner. Froese bumps it off to
Thomas Eriksson. Lukowicz keeps it in. Finally, Rich Sutter ices it, and that'll do it. With 5 seconds left in the period, but the Flyers, who have been big in the second period, get blitzed as the Jets get both goals. Ron Wilson and Brian Mullen with a two-man advantage. And so we come to the end of the second period at the Spectrum. It's Winnipeg 4 and the Flyers 2. And we'll be back with Bobby and his intermission guest after this.
So you guys are going to go on in your lives, you're going to achieve some great successes, and I hope and pray you do. But no matter what the future's going to bring, there's seldom going to be a moment like tonight when you hold it all in your hands. Together! And that's how we're going to win this game. We're going to win it together! We're going to win together! Come on now!
Tom Cruise is Stefan Georgievich, a kid whose dreams are bigger than the town he lives in.
What are you looking for, Steph?
Looking to trade football for an education and still be able to walk.
I hate football. I just like to watch number 33 run around in those tight black pants.
His future depends on getting out.
I mean, now you can't even get a job in that damn mill.
You mean that mill over there where your father works? Where your brother works?
Well, my brother was laid off.
You too good for us or something?
No, sir, I just want to go to college.
But the odds are against him.
Now, you do it my way or it's a highway, Georgievic.
I want to see some film on Riley, Georgievic, and Oliver.
No, he's got an attitude problem, sure.
He's a kid, and he wants to go to college and be something.
What's wrong with you, son? You bite. You dig.
And your husband's stopping him.
Oh, where are you going? On the bus. Now, this is the wrong bus, son. This is for players. You ride back with the cheerleaders.
You know, if he leaves here, you'll probably lose him.
Any quitters here? No, sir! Didn't hear you. No, sir! You cost us the game. You quit. We didn't quit. You quit.
In everyone's life, there comes a moment when you gotta make your move and fight back. For Stefan Georgievich, that moment is now.
Together. Together. Scholarship here, no scholarship there. Who gave you that power? You're just a high school football coach.
Tom Cruise, all the right moves.
Flyers trailing the Winnipeg Jets after 2 periods of play, 4-2, and our guest is the captain of the Winnipeg Jets, Dale Howardchick. And Dale, captain, that has to sound pretty good for a guy that's just as young as you are in the league. A lot of responsibility too, as I would think.
Yeah, it has been. It was a bit of a surprise at first, and the guys, you know, I'm a little younger, but when you look in years of experience, I'm going to my 4th year, so the guys read me a little, but they've been treating me pretty good, and I think we got a good team effort. We're getting a good team effort, and we're grouping well together right now.
You know, I can think back a few years ago when there was a guy that had number 16 on this sweater for the Flyers, and he was really young when Freddie Shiro named him captain. He says that if you're the best player on the ice, you're going to be a natural leader. Do you follow that suit as well?
Well, I think so. I think the guy that seems to be doing the most out there for the club, and I know it's helped my game. It's put a little added responsibility on myself, but I think it's helped my game all around in the sense that I seem to be working hard all the time now, and I'm not getting down, and I'm trying to get the other guys up, and I think overall it's been good for my game.
Mike Keenan used to be a coach of yours way back when you were a youngster of about 14, he says.
Yeah, that's right. Mike coached me in junior B hockey in Oshawa, Ontario. And, I had a lot of admiration for Mike, and he's a good coach, and he's the guy that switched me from left wing to center.
So he might have been the guy that's possible for you to be a big draft pick, and of course the success you've had out here. Winnipeg has only been on the road. This is in fact the second game there, and you've had some trouble at home.
Yeah, we did. I think what happened was we played well at first, and then Los Angeles came into our building, and they had been struggling, and I think it was a good chance for Los Angeles to group together. They had 2 games with us, and we tied the first one, and then the second game we outplayed them the whole game. They got great goaltending, so they got their first win, but they played well against us, and you know, I think our team's happy to get on the road now. We're getting together a little more.
That really makes a difference. A lot of people don't realize that. They hear a lot of the athletes say that when you're on the road, it's a chance for the guys to get a lot closer.
Oh, it sure is. I think, you know, when you're at home, you get days off where you just practice, and then everybody's got their homes, their wives, kids, or whatever, and you know, as soon as practice is over, guys go their own way. But when you're on the road, you bunk together, and you eat in restaurants together, and you're together all the time. And I I think it makes for good team atmosphere.
I would think that's probably unique to hockey, where you got to have that good feeling in the dressing room in order for it to carry out on the ice and to be successful on the ice.
No question. I think when you look at good teams, you know everybody. You know the guy might not be your favorite person, but you respect him for what he does for the hockey club, and you're going to back him to the wall on the ice. And I think that's the kind of team attitude you need to win.
You know, tonight's an odd game. You guys aren't getting that many shots, but you're sure making them count.
Yeah, it's just the opposite of last game. We outshot them so bad and we couldn't put it in. Now tonight they're going in left and right for us. Hopefully it'll keep up.
Well, Dale, I wish you continued success for Winnipeg, and thanks for staying with us.
Thanks very much.
Dale Howarchuk, and he'll receive from Brand Jewelers a Citizen's Quartz watch, a winning combination of style, technology, and accuracy. Make the affordable citizen your watchword. It's featured at Brand Jewelers, Deptford Mall in Deptford, New Jersey. Now let's go down to Mark Zumoff, and he has a visit with Randy Carlisle and the rest of today's sports news. Mark?
Thank you, Bobby, and good evening to you. Welcome to the second intermission segment of Prism Sports. Well, perhaps one of the few awful periods the Flyers have had in a while. They are unbeaten in their last 5. Perhaps they were due. And somewhat questionable tripping call there on Brad McCrimmon, allowing the Winnipeg Jets to have a 5-on-3. It gave them a critical goal in that second period, and they lead it 4-2 after 2. And Bobby and Eddie Van Imp will return. They'll have highlights and their comments on tonight's second period. Stay with us. Here now an update on those 3 other games being played tonight in the National Hockey League. First of all, at the Forum, Mike Bossy already recording the hat trick, goals number 14, 15, and 16. He has scored in all 10 Islander games thus far this year. Boston leading Quebec right now in the third period of play, and 2 goals in that game at Detroit by Rich Crum. Calgary leading in the third period of play. It is well documented that a change in scenery can help a struggling athlete. Randy Carlisle had a change of venue late last year. He left the Pittsburgh Penguins to join the Winnipeg Jets. Yes, a new locale has helped, but not as much as Randy Carlisle's new diet. He talked about it this morning with our hockey reporter here at Prism, Ken Adelberger.
I had went to a nutritionist. It started last year in Pittsburgh, where we had started, and it was bad eating habits, and actually he just stressed, you know, a healthy breakfast and stay away from red meats and fatty foods, and that's basically what we did.
It's a new look, Randy Carlisle. You've lost a lot of weight. You're a little leaner now, and does Winnipeg expect more out of you?
Well, I don't know. Things like that. Maybe later in your career, you know, you seem to have to be in top form at all times, especially the way the game has gone to much more speed now. I don't know about it, if they expect any more out of me. I'm sure they expect me to solidify their defense, you know, and maybe in our penalty killing and power play and overall play. I've seen a lot of ice time early.
You feel comfortable in that role?
Oh, yeah. It's the way I look at it, the more you play, the better you get, or you can maintain a level a lot easier. I find it very tough to come off the bench and take 1 or 2 shifts a period and, you know, to perform out there.
Randy says the key to the Jets' success this year will be team defense.
Well, I think that overall, with our hockey club, we have to play a team defense. That's what we've been trying to stress right from the goaltenders through the defensemen through the forwards. We feel if we can hold a team to less than 3 goals, we can win a hockey game. You know, we stand a very good chance of winning the game, and because we have people that can put the puck in the net.
Ken Adelberger, Prism Sports.
Randy Carlisle, the winner of the Norris Trophy in 1981, trying to regain that form with the Winnipeg Jets. 76ers returning here to Prism tomorrow night, 7:30. They'll take on the Dallas Mavericks right here at the Spectrum. The Mavs are an exciting young team. They're off to a 2-2 start, while the Sixers are undefeated thus far in this young NBA Let's talk a little baseball for a moment. One sure way to know which prospects a team is high on is to check the 40-man roster that represents players with major league contracts. Now, the Phillies have added to that roster utility outfielder Mike Diaz and pitcher Ramon Carabello. Diaz, remember, he came in the Bob Dernier Gary Matthews deal for Bill Campbell with the Cubs. Perhaps some would like to forget it. He was billed then as a catcher, but we were told now he's to be an outfielder. Carabello is a right-handed reliever. He had 6 wins and 21 saves this summer at Spartansburg. Another strong young right-hander will not be doing much throwing for the near future. Here's a Tony Gelfi update now from Prism's baseball reporter Larry Rosen.
Can an athlete wipe an entire year from his mind? Probably not, but Phillies pitcher Tony Gelfi is about to try. Off his 1983 minor league performance, Tony earned a spot on the big club's opening day roster, but he was on the 60-day disabled list. The team had spotted a flaw in his delivery, which put too much pressure on his right shoulder. In mid-season, Tony was apparently nearly ready. He was to spend some time at Portland to get rid of the rustiness.
You know, I'm very anxious to get out there and start playing again, because it's awful hard to sit and to watch night after night after night and to be on a team and not be able to contribute at all and not even get in there and play. So yeah, I'm very antsy and I'm ready to get out there and start pitching.
After just 1 inning at Portland, his right arm went out again. He was done for the year. So now Tony has had the surgery he worked so hard to prevent. Dr. James Andrews from Columbus, Georgia, who also worked this week on World Series MVP Alan Trammell, corrected what he describes as a rare bone formation in a shoulder muscle. Now, Tony will begin a twice-a-week rehab program at the vet aimed at giving it another go in 1985. I'm Larry Rosen for Prism Sports.
Take the Philadelphia Stars, merge them with the Pittsburgh Maulers, and what do you get? You get the Baltimore Stars. That, in effect, is what the USFL champion Stars announced today. They made official their planned move to Baltimore, and they revealed the owner of the Maulers had bought half of the Stars team. Now, the Stars will play in the spring of 1985 at the University of Maryland's Byrd Stadium. They hope to have a lease for Baltimore's Memorial Stadium when the USFL tries for that fall schedule in 1986. The mercurial career of an 18-year-old track sensation is apparently over. Middle distance runner Zola Budd telling a horde of media members today she is retiring from international competition. You'll recall she collided with Mary Decker in the 5,000 during the summer at the U.S. Olympic Games. In case you are just joining us, we have completed 2 periods now of tonight's Prism exclusive, Flyers and the Winnipeg Jets. Flyers have some coming back to do. They trail at 4-2, the 3rd period coming up in a moment. But right now, a look back at tonight's 2nd period, highlights and analysis from the Chief and Ed Bannett. Gentlemen?
Well, I'll tell you, Mark, you really did say a mouthful. The Flyers have some coming back to do here in this 3rd period, Eddie.
They have, Bob, because the Winnipeg Jets, when they're on the defense, are getting all 5 men quickly back in their own zone. And you almost look in front of that net. There's a space there, maybe about 20 or 30 feet around that net, where they've got all 5 players. So as a result, when the Flyers do get the opportunity, they've got 2 or 3 defenders there to keep the Flyers forwards, from looking for that rebound or that loose puck.
And if that puck does come loose and that rebound does come loose, that Mark Barron has been there and he's been outstanding.
He's played very well for the Jets so far in the first 2 periods. He's made, especially in the 1st period, the Flyers tested him severely, and he really, weathered the storm. He gave up 2 goals, but it could have been a lot more than that. He's played well.
Well, the goal that gave the Jets the lead again in that 2nd period was an odd goal, but Ron Wilson triggered it from the deep in the left side.
Well, again, it was off to the side, as you mentioned. It was an angle shot. The Jets had the pressure on the Flyers and were able to basically pick up the puck and just come around to the outside off to an angle. Brad Marsh went down. He may have screened Bobby Froese as the puck just hit to the inside and the short side, as you mentioned, and went into the net. But again, Marsh went down. I'm not so sure that maybe Bobby Froese didn't see that puck till it actually hit him.
Well, you'd look around, and the puck has been bouncing around. They have not had an awful lot of shots, as Howardchuk mentioned. They're made good on them, though, but their power play has worked very well for them, and it's something that Winnipeg has not had up in the first 6 or 7 games they've had.
Well, you talked about the power play. We just talked about it here in the 2nd period, that basically you sometimes wonder, it's going so good, will it stop? Well, it always stops, and you wonder where in the heck did the power play go? And that's exactly what the Flyers are feeling right now, whereas the Winnipeg Jets, it's just the opposite. All of a sudden, their power play is here, and it comes up with a big goal as the shot was taken from the point by Babbage, and Mullen was just on the goal crease, and then the puck was just loose. He eventually just squirts out to the side and just deflected up into the
crowd of players, and Brad Marsh is in behind the goaltender, Bobby Froese. Actually, the two players are tangled up with each other, and both down on the ice, and the puck squirts loose, and Mullins off to the side and puts it up top to give the Jets the 4-2 lead.
4-2 the lead. Winnipeg leading after 2 periods of play here at the Spectrum. And for a look at the total scoring summary and for the out-of-town scoreboard, let's go right upstairs to Gene Hart.
Well, in that second period, the Jets got both of the goals. The first on that one by Ron Wilson, his second from McBain and Pooley at 5:57. And the other goal in the period by Brian Mullen, his third, with the Jets getting a 2-man advantage at 18:26 from Horwitchuk and Babbitt. In the first period, Dave Ellett gave the Jets a 1-0 lead. Mark Howe tied it with his fourth. Brian Mullen with his second put the Jets ahead, and Propp, who has now scored goals in 6 straight games, got his 10th. The shots are 20, the Jets, 27 for Philadelphia. Boy, we have had some great games. Mike Bossy picked up his third tonight. He now has 16, but the Montreal Canadiens have come on goals with John Chabot, Mike McPhee, Hunter with a pair, and Mats Noslin, and they lead 5-4. Charlie Simmers fourth with Boston has given the Bruins a 2-1 second period lead at home against Quebec. And Calgary ripping Detroit 7-3, and the Flames are a high-powered offense. 2 from defenseman Paul Reinhart, 2 from Richie Crom, Al McInnes, Håkan Loob, and Elamanta. While 2 goals by Duguay and 1 by Yzerman of the Red Wings. Flyers will start this period, a man short for 5 seconds, the time remaining on the McCrimmon penalty. In the game so far, the edge, a little one to the Jets in the face-off. They've won 32 and lost 28. The big plus, Thomas Steen with 8 out of 11, and the big minus for Philadelphia. Dave Poulin has lost 10 out of 15. Good surprise, Peter Zezel, the young rookie, has won 6 out of his 9. The Flyers are going to start Pelle Lindbergh in this third period. So Bob Froese is pulled after 2 periods, and Pelle Lindbergh, whose lifetime record against the Winnipeg Jets as he gets into this third period is 1 victory. He was in that overtime game here January 5th. He also won at home 4-3 on 13th of October 83. So Pelle Lindbergh starts the third period, and the Flyers will have to go 4 seconds at a 1-man disadvantage, and then McCrimmon will be out, and then they have to turn to the task of picking up that 2-goal deficit. Buck at center ice. Carlisle down that right side to Horwitchuk with 3 goals. Holes, shot deflected in the nearest corner by Paul McLean behind the net. Stuffer! And that was covered by Lindbergh as the Jets came close up into that left wing corner. Nice move inside, pull an open man, score by the man coming in, Robert Picard. And the Jets lead it 5-2 as nobody picked up the trailer. And the Flyers had it and lost it, and the Jets aggressively now have scored twice in the last 2 minutes of play. 18:26 of the second period, 23 seconds of the third, and open up a whopping 5-2 margin as they have now scored 4 of the last 5 goals in the game. So Robert Picard all by himself, and Pelle Lindbergh had no chances. First, it was McLean in on top of him. So Picard, as we check our number, picks up goal number 2. And the Flyers now have a bigger road to hoe. Jets have won 1 game in here in their history. There's a break, and they had a man in on the left wing side, Lukowicz, behind the net. Horwitchuk gets his 4th assist as the Flyers try to come out, and McCrimmon on the right side gets it to Poulin, and he fans on the play, and the Jets will pick it up in their own end. McLean will get the other assist on the Winnipeg goal. The Flyers in. Play in front of the net. Flyers look. Kerr, a shot blocked off as the Jets are cleaning the clocks in front of the net. Babbage. And we'll pick up that change a little later on, just a minor change in the scoring of the Winnipeg goal. Now we get the stoppage play. If you're keeping notes at home, Babbage was given one of the assists on the Winnipeg 4th goal near the end of the second period. Should go to McLean. Also picked up 1 on this goal by Picard, with Horwitchuk getting his 4th assist. Horwitchuk now 3 goals, 10 assists for 13 points. Robert Picard sneaking in from the right side all by himself, and no chance for Pelle Lindbergh. So the Flyers, for the 2nd time this year, find themselves back by 3, and the last time that happened in Montreal. They work down the right side, in front. Pass at the side of the net, unable to control it, was Philadelphia's Doug Frosman. In front again, the Flyers misfire. Flyers have been a half step behind and a shade off in all of this action here throughout the latter stages of the first, second, and third periods. They work on the near side. They're huffing and puffing without a lot of efficiency. Now Ron Sutter in the left wing corner. Waters strips him of the puck and rolls it around that left wing side and up into center ice. Rich Sutter, as the Flyers throw it to center ice, it rolls through the defenseman Ellett, who held off Ron Sutter, and the Jets shoot it all the way down the other way. 18 minutes ago in the third period, and the Flyers back by 3 at home. Marsh up at center, and the Flyers bumping into one another, and Flyers have gone downhill after a good first period when they outshot the Jets 17-7, but a couple of crazy goals gave the Jets the 2-2 tie. Now Craven back. Boom! He scores from the left circle.
Did that goal deflect off Picard's stick?
I'm not sure, Eddie, but Craven just got everything. I think it just he just misplayed it. He was expecting the puck to hit him as he went down to the butterfly style, but I don't think he expected the velocity that Craven got behind it. It glanced off his wrist, and Craven puts the Flyers back within 2 as he picks up his 5th of the year.
Unassisted at 2:22.
Well, the last time these two teams played, it was a 7-6 barn burner. So anything could happen in the final third period as one of the youngsters here has picked up a souvenir. Pelle Lindbergh now in goal for Philadelphia.
Now is beaten 2-on-1. Howard Chuck looking for his 5th assist. And a marvelous cover-up by Brad McCrimmon as an open man on the far side was Mullen looking for his 3rd goal. And as the Flyers ice it, it turns off the right board, right in on the net. Now we got Picard taking a push at Craven, and everybody jams in save the 2 defensemen, who for Philadelphia wisely remember the rule and stay out of the circle so Flyer can contain the face-off when we get back into action. 17-13 remain in the third period at the Spectrum. Winnipeg 5 and the Flyers 3.
Good play by Brad McCrimmon, staying in there and taking away that centering pass from the Winnipeg Jets. The Flyers are down by 2 goals. Now they're going to have to take some chances inside the offensive zone so that they can create scoring opportunities. And when that happens and you open up a little bit, that also can create opportunities for the opposition, such as the case there when Winnipeg broke away 2-1. Brad McCrimmon makes the nice defensive play. Flyers still down by 2, 5-3. Pelle Lindbergh in the nets for Philadelphia, has played in 7 games prior to tonight, has picked up a 2.51 goals against average. 3-2-2 is his record.
Brown in on Philadelphia's line with Hackborn, Sinisalo in front. They challenge behind the net. Brown comes out, then overskates the puck, goes back behind, looks to play out. He's got a man there in front for Crosman. He was a stride away. It comes out to the side, shot in on Byrne by Brown on the backhander from the left circle, and he grabs for the stoppage, but the team coming alive, and so is the crowd for the first time this evening.
The crowd's up, making a noise. The Flyers that time were aggressive around the net, but they're just not able to reach the goaltender when the puck's laying there loose. By the time they get to the puck's covered up, as Brown was working in front of the net with the puck, just trying to get it back on net. The puck just laid there for a second. The goaltender down before the Flyers could get there for that loose puck.
Now they go out. Does Philadelphia's Mike Keenan with his big line of Zezel, Prop, and Kerr with McCrimmon and Howe. The Jets have Babbage back along with Waters. Offensive left circle for Philadelphia as Boschman is on for the Jets. Puck is dropped, cleared to the point, and out comes Winnipeg's Babbage to center ice to McBain. Clips offensive left wing corner looking for Lukowicz. But it's played by Lindbergh around the near side. Babbage keeps it in, back around behind the Flyer net. McCrimmon there up on the right side. Wait for the forechecking Boschman. Jets are checking the Flyers to a fairly well right now, and the Philadelphia club having trouble coming out. Now Prop breaks through, looks for Zezel up the middle, flips offensive right corner, ricochets behind Barron. Offensive left corner as he failed to make the play. Prop is tied up and grabbed by the Jets on the near side. Trying to come out of that corner as Zezel does. Works into the left side. Runs over his man McBain. Now takes Babbage out behind. He's knocked down on the puck. It's caromed underneath his body, and we'll have an offensive left circle face-off as whistled by referee Terry Gregson. Peter Zezel looks on. 16-12 remain in the third period. Spectrum score, Winnipeg 5, Philadelphia 3.
That face-off looks like it might come outside the blue line, although I question that. And maybe it's just the fact that there was a little exchange of words at that blue line between the two teams when they were having a line change, and that's all it was, as Willard Norris has now gone into the the face-off circle deep inside the Winnipeg zone. 5-3 Flyers trail with 16-12 remaining. That next goal is an important one.
Poland, Cravenson, Asala with Marsh and Eriksson. Mail is out on the line for the Jets with Lundholm and Steen. Offensive left circle face-off. Waters the defense along with Ellett. Puck kicked in front of the net. Ellett for the point. Marsh keeps it in. Rolls it along the near side to Poulin. Around behind the net. Craven takes on Waters, but he drills it up on the far side. Cairns out into the slot. The Jets come out quickly. They've got Lundholm breaking down that left wing side, but it bounces and he goes in with a puck behind him offside. 4:03 gone in this third period. Each team has scored a goal. Bossy has his fourth now, and the Islanders have tied Montreal at 5. He's got 17 on the year and leads the league.
Ben Lundholm, one of the couple of Swedes that are playing on the Winnipeg Jets. They've always had at least 2 on this club, even when they were with the WHA. They've gone to Sweden quite often to bolster their roster.
Well, not only does Mr. Bossy lead the league with 17 goals, he now leads the league in points. He has at least 4, giving him 32 to Gretzky's 30, and we haven't seen that happen in 3 or 4 years.
No, that young man, Gretzky, usually gets out of the gate and leads wire to wire.
Jets win the draw, shoot it to center ice. Marsh drives it right back in. Ellett, who got the game going with a goal, winds it around to his own left wing side. And out comes Steen at center ice. Long shot, hits Lindbergh. That's Swede to Swede. Flyers work it up on the far side. It hits the stake and goes out past Craven into the neutral zone. Jets got on 5th goal, put a little heat on Philadelphia with just 23 seconds gone in the period. Now the Flyers come back, pocket over the line. Caught up to, works into the left wing corner, right through the goal mouth. It'll lie there, trying to get in Craven, and he turns around, and we're going to have a penalty against Philadelphia, and I think it's going to be Carlisle going off. And the Flyers have had an anemic power play, get a chance to get within 1. 4:46 gone third period at the Spectrum. Winnipeg 5, the Flyers 3.
Well, the Flyers had the pressure on. As a result, the Winnipeg Jets are going to pick up a 2-minute minor for slashing. Robert Picard will be the culprit as the Flyers were able to move up there with Tocchet. Winnipeg, the big difference, too, has been their ability to capitalize on their opportunities, but they've also had 3 power play goals out of 4 opportunities. Flyers are now working on their 5th power play, and they've yet to score.
Picard picks up a second penalty of the night. He has 13 minutes on the year. The Jets now have 9 of the game's 16 penalties, but as yet, the penalties have not hurt them. Flyers would like to do that now. Zezel, Kerr, Propp, Eriksson, and Crosman. Flyers are 0 for 4 on the advantage. They have not scored in their last 14. They work right wing corner to Zezel. Zezel tries to pass. It's blocked off. Zezel gets it back, tries to go to the point. Eriksson knocks it with a high stick, and it comes to center ice. Actually, it was off the Jets into the neutral zone. As Zezel working around Boschman on that right side. Through at the Jet line. Now he's taken off and taken down by Ron Wilson. Puck rolls in on Barron as Waters clears to the point. Kept in by Zezel. Eriksson along the near boards. Boschman breaks it down. Rolls it up. Then it's cleared down the ice by Ron Wilson. As Smale will come out now with Thomas Steen. 14:37 left third period. 1:20 on the penalty to Robert Picard. Crosman over the line. Into the slot. The puck is dropped back to the point. Eriksson with a shot. That's blocked off. The Jet Smale has it under his body. Can't find the handle. It kicks free. Rolls to the blue line. Rolled in by Zezel and rolled out the center ice where Crosman goes to the right side to Propp. Propp down that right wing against Smale. Into the corner. Tries to center the pass. Puts it out in front. It's blocked. Flyers had nobody there, but it rolls back to Propp.
Drop goes out to the hash marks along that right side. Into the corner behind the net to Zezel. Straight away to McCrimmon. Shot! And Byrne the save. Rebound in front, and it was steered away as the shot by Crosman didn't have much mustard on it. Jets try to clear it off, and Jews shoot it into the seats near side. Tim Waters with 40 seconds remaining on the Tatar penalty. 6:06 gone in the third period. 5-3 Winnipeg. The Jets are just doing a super job. They're just not giving the Flyers any breathing room in front of that net. When the shot is taken from the outside, from the point, the goaltender is able to see that puck and make the play and cover up the loose pucks, the rebounds, but he's just not allowing the Flyer wingers either go to the net or stand around. They're looking for the tip in, the rebound, the loose puck. The Jets are just superb in penalty killing. Philadelphia goes with Ron Sutter, Tocchet, and Sinisalo. Howe with a point right off the right shoulder of Barron to the far boards off the glass. Flyers try to go in deep into the corner. Carlisle trying to come out with it, does to Ron Wilson. And Wilson coming up at center ice. Rolls it up the middle over the line. There's a drop pass to Boschman to the point. They go into the net, then it's shot wide as Ellett tried to find Ron Wilson. And now it is Sinisalo up on that right side to center ice, through to McCrimmon. Gets past Carlisle. Boom, a good check in the corner on Sinisalo. Ron Sutter behind. It rolls off. Philadelphia's Tocchet picks it up to the right point to Howe. Howe looks cross ice. McCrimmon, as he's challenged, the Jets don't give the point. McCrimmon kicks it behind the net, gets past the referee, but then runs into traffic on the near side as the penalty is over, and the Flyers are going to regret tonight, perhaps going 0 for 5. Ron Sutter at the side of the net to McCrimmon. McCrimmon holds. He's got a man cross ice. There he is. Sinisalo shot, and it's grabbed on the left glove of Byrne as Ellett and Ron Sutter go at it at the side of the net.
They got their sticks up, but Rick Tocchet, who does not hesitate, Eddie, when he sees a teammate in trouble, he gets over there very, very quickly. Last night at Buffalo, he pulled 2 Buffalo Sabres off Lenny Hackhorn. Here he got in there very quickly to pull Ellett away from Ronnie Sutter, and then of course Carlisle got in there to grab a hold of Tocchet. But both teams frustrated, Flyers more so than the Winnipeg Jets. 5-3 the score, 12:58 remains here in the third period. Carlisle's lugging a lot of ice time for Winnipeg. He came over from Pittsburgh last year in the trade for their #1 draft pick, which turned out to be Doug Bodger, and also Mo Mantha came from the Winnipeg Jets to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Carlisle's, this is his 9th year, and he's only 28 years of age, so the Jets are hoping that they'll be able to get some more offense out of him this year.
Well, 12:58 remains, third period. Jets hanging on to that 2-goal lead. Crosman at the point. Drive weakly blocked off at the side of the boards by McLean. He'll get the carom at center ice, coming with Horachuk. Over the line on the left wing with Mullen with 2 goals shot, and Lindbergh grabbed that one as Dale Horachuk has had a big night, assisting on 4, the Winnipeg 5 goals. Puck rolled by Horachuk behind the net. Mullen is cut off by Crosman. Crosman around the far side. The Jets really doing a nice job of checking, and that's been an alien art to them since their arrival in the National Hockey League. It was skate, shoot, and hope. Flyers keep it in the zone, but they can't control it. And now
here we go again.
Brown and the kite again.
Round 2. Yeah, they had they came together at the boards. You can see that they're looking at it, but now Kite and Brown are in close quarters. They're not trying to get too many punches in. Kite trying to hold on and pull down Brown. He ended up on the ice, but Brown on top of them.
Once they hit the ice, the linesmen were quick to get in there to see if they can't get the 2 players apart. And this is where you have to protect yourself at all times. For fear the one hand gets loose and the linesman's got a hold of you, all of a sudden, boom.
That's a chore, getting those 2 apart. Again, as we mentioned, both of them are 6'5" and well over 200 pounds. It started along the boards as the puck was being shot out. Brown and Kite came together. And what's happening is that Brown's throwing a couple of punches while the linesmen are down the ice as well. He'll be gone for the rest of the night. You can bet on it.
All right, well, they clean up the residue of that tussle. 12:22 remain in regulation at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. The Winnipeg Jets 5, the Philadelphia Flyers 3.
Well, Kite's being looked at by the linesman and also being talked to by his captain, Dale Horachuk, and along with Dave Babbage.
Now, young Kite has a handicap. He does not hear very well. He has impaired hearing. In fact, I think he might even be legally deaf, Gene. But he'll be going in the penalty box. And I don't think he'll be gone for the rest of the game at all.
All right, they each get 5 for fighting and a 10-minute misconduct, which means unless there's overtime, we've seen the end of both of them.
No, 10 minutes only goes to Dave Brown.
Ah.
So Kite will be back before this period's over.
Kite 30 minutes on the air, and Dave Brown now at that 15 picks up to 24. And Brown has picked all of that time tonight.
There's plenty of time remaining here, 12 minutes and 22 seconds in the third period, but the Flyers have got to get some kind of a fire going as they trail by 2.
Flyers now have 9 of the game's 19 penalties. The Jets lost Scott Arneal in the second period on a game misconduct as the third man in. Other than losing Brown and Kite for various times of the evening, it has no effect on the play on ice. They're at full strength. Flyers clear it in and got to go after it. Carlisle tries to clear out the Zezel at the side of the net. It's wrapped up, fights for it again, kicks it free, is grabbed off the play. Carlisle, as Zezel comes out of the corner with the puck, looks to roll it in deep. Prop didn't read it. Carlisle spins to his right along the right wing boards. Haight tries to come out. Horachuk with a big evening. Outlets through at center ice. And they right wing to McLean. He can't handle it. Goes down over the Flyer goal line. Given right back by Lindbergh on the near side, but it got past Mullen as Prop's pass, and the Flyers have been really negligent on that, and it's been a skill really strong for them this year, and it rolls into the Winnipeg zone. Jets shoot it off the far boards and down, then it'll be an icing. The Flyers get a line change at leisure and an offensive circle face-off. 11:32 remaining in the third period. Jets 5 and the Flyers 3. We'll be back. Same pairing, Radio Network and Prism, 7:30 Saturday with Minnesota.
Shots on goal here in this third period are 4 apiece for both teams. Flyers leading the department 31-24 on the strength of a 17-7 margin in the first 20 minutes. Barry Long and assistant coach Rick Bowness looking on. Have to be pleased with the score at this point.
Traded goals. Picard early in this period. Jets up 5-2, and then Murray Craven unassisted at 2:22, and that's as close as the Flyers been able to get. Jets shoot at the center. Thomas Eriksson knocked it down, but flying down that left side is Lukowicz. Shot right in to the left crook of the arm of Pelle Lindbergh, and we get a stoppage of play as he has to hang on.
Lukowicz snapped that one off quickly, and Pelle Lindbergh was able to make the save with a glove hand.
A lot of times when that puck gets caught up in your equipment and you're juggling it, when you're down by a goal or even 2 goals, the goaltender should try and keep that puck moving as much as possible, but if you're not sure of that puck and you don't have complete control over it, the best thing to do is hold it for the whistle.
You know, it just popped into my mind, that 4-goal game by Bossy Bob. Isn't that his second of the year?
Could be, yeah, I think so. When you got that many goals, they come in bunches.
Well, he's got 17 in 10 games. Now Murray Craven will take the draw against Lukowicz. Flyers defensive left circle with 11:20 remaining in this third period. Ellett, Mullen again, Ron Wilson and Picard for the Jets. For Philadelphia, Howe, Prop, and Craven. Howe along the far side, as the Flyers have had a difficult time in the cohesion of their offense. Now at center ice, here comes Hackborn through, gives it over the line to Tocchet, a wraparound from the right to the left wing boards. Marsh tries to play it, but it goes back the other way as the Jets read that. Then Ellett cuts off Tocchet. That allows Lukowicz to put it through at center ice. Now we get a stoppage of play for some reason as the blue lights go on, as we had some deficiency in the scoreboard.
The clock went crazy.
Yeah, it's the Jets 126, the Flyers 3 with 33 seconds left.
Remaining. Somebody blew a switch out there, and the buzzer went off, and of course it's kept not only on the scoreboard clock, but also there's a clock or a watch in the timekeeper's bench that they keep it on as well. So it's not just the one clock that controls the minutes.
That was in the Eastern League. It wouldn't have been an accident.
No, you're right there.
We have about a half period left here at the Spectrum with the Jets leading the Flyers. 5-3.
Hey, you know, all you youngsters 12 and under can learn to play hockey with the Flyers on Tuesday, November the 6th at the Westtown Sports Center, or Monday, November the 12th at the Valley Forge YMCA. All youngsters planning to attend must register in advance. So if you want more information, call the Flyers Office of Amateur Hockey Affairs. And that number is 215-465-4500. That number again, 215-465-4500.
For Bossy, that would be his 8th 4-goal game of his career, 2nd of the year, and his 31st hat trick. That put him 31 ahead of you, Eddie.
Oh, you've got that right.
Although I remember the 2 goals in Boston. I'll never forget that. You banged one off the post. Puck goes through Brad Marsh, who's out there with Erickson. Chasing Philadelphia's Marsh behind the net. The Flyers come out. They've got Craven out there with Poulin, and they had a right wing pass to Tocchet. He goes behind the net, fights for it, is banged up by Ellett, and that allows Boschman to take the puck. He's checked. Scramble taken away by Poulin, then Poulin is bumped into by Craven. Jets are able outlet 2-on-1. Boschman over the line. In, he's got a man in front. Open net shot, rebound, score by Lukowicz.
Boy, I'll tell you, I don't understand. You know, Thomas Erickson played it very well, and the guy took the shot, but still Lukowicz was the other guy who was able to come back and get the rebound. Erickson must have gone right by that shot.
He was the trailer coming in late. The puck was just laying there, and he's able to lift it in to give the Jets that 6-3 lead. Time of that goal would be 9 minutes and 43 seconds.
Well, when you have to try and create opportunities in the offensive zone, it's going to produce some 2-on-1s or 3-on-2 situations, but Thomas Erickson, in letting the man take the shot, forgot about that winger. If you're going to let the man take the shot, you got to make sure that that winger who's coming in doesn't get into the play. You cannot help your goaltender there when you're watching the puck. You got to take a look at the trailer or that off winger, and Lukowicz was wide open to bang it home, and after he scored, Brad Marsh took him out along the boards and kept going at him.
What happened in that play, Bobby, is Erickson backed in too far on the 2-on-1. He backed right into the goal crease, and as a result, he took himself out of position. Took himself right out of the play.
Well, the last team to get 6 goals in this building against Philadelphia, well, I guess you're not surprised, was the Winnipeg Jets. And that 7-6 loss here to the Flyers. And that happened, let's see, as we look at our little book, way back last year. And February the 12th. Lukowicz gets a second. Boschman and Waters. All right, Tocchet in the penalty box along with Waters. And it comes at 9:43, probably for roughing.
It's odd about that play. Waters and Tocchet came in after. Marsh took Lukowicz out along the boards and doesn't pick up the penalty.
So Tocchet and Waters each 2 minutes for roughing. They'll play 5 aside, and the Flyers fall back 6-3. And the way their defense is played, home and away, this is an eye-opener. Particularly the Jets, their last 2 games at home, they tied and lost to Los Angeles, who at that time hadn't won a game all year.
But it's all in the mental preparation when you're playing a team that you think you're going to beat.
Prop in front, and the shot blocked off by Burns, although as the Jets gain control of this game right now, 6-3, some shaky goaltending earlier gave him that break to take control. Prop outlets to Ron Sutter up on the right side at center ice. Turns through and drives it in. And the Jets have taken the steam out of the Flyers in this period. They've held Philadelphia to just 4 shots. Got the first goal from Picard. Craven got that back, but now Lukowicz gives him that 3-goal lead again.
Also around the league, the Islanders and Montreal are tied at 5. Calgary has scored again. It is now 9-5 over Detroit in the 3rd period, and that is in Detroit. Boston is waltzing at home against Quebec 7-1 in the 3rd period.
1:07 remain on the penalties to Tocchet and the Waters. Flyers have some road to hoe. For Waters, if you're keeping that statistic, he has 27 penalty minutes on the air. Rick Tocchet with 36. The Jets have 11 of the game's 21 penalties. There's a shot in on the net as the Flyers continue to peck away and see if they can't eat into that lead. Plenty of time left in modern hockey. 9:15 left.
Plenty of time left, but right now, the way the Winnipeg Jets are playing in their own zone, it's going to be very difficult for the Flyers. They get their men back quickly to get them in position. As a result, the Flyers are not getting the good scoring opportunities they're going to need in order to score 3 goals in 9 minutes and 15 seconds.
You'll find now that Mike Keenan will put out his most prolific offensive players, and that'll be especially on defense, where you see Erickson teamed up with Doug Crossman right now.
And the 2 forwards are Zezel along with Hackborn. Mullen, Howard-Chuck. Mullen with 2 goals, Howard-Chuck with 4 assists. And out there, Picard, who has a goal, along with Ellett, who has a goal. So it's a well-rounded effort for Winnipeg. They're getting it at both ends of the ice, and offense from blue liners and forwards. Van Barron came up with so many key plays when the Flyers, on 3 different occasions, tried to catch up. Crosman at the line, but feeds behind Hackborn. And the Jets take it around behind the net. Stolen away there, and a good effort by Zezel. Looks for reinforcements, works away from Picard, but then has the puck taken away by the Winnipeg defenseman, and outletted all the way down by Dale Howard-Chuck. Round behind the net goes Doug Crosman. Works out of his right circle, up through at center ice, but a pass eludes Dave Poulin, and the Jets back the other way. Now the penalty's over. Tocchet comes out with Waters. They're at full strength on the ice, 8:14 remaining. And the Flyers, who had been the defensive surprise of the year, allowing just 25 in 10 games, have been blitzed for 6 on home ice. Play lifted out to center ice. Babbage back with Randy Carlyle, and up front they have Boschman with Lukowicz, a goal scorer, and Arneal. Prop now on with Howe, Tocchet, Poulin, and McCrimmon. Left wing corner, McVeigh knocks Lukowicz down on the puck. And here comes Davey Poulin as the Flyers quickly up ice, but the Jets get 3 men back. There's a dump pass rolling at the side of the net. Flyers, Rich Sutter's taken out nicely, as is run Sutter by Dave Babbage. And up ice comes McBain, hits the Flyer line and flips in far corner. Now they've got Lundholm out there along with Steen and Smale. Flyers now trying for the home run and not being very effective at it. Jets just take it away. It's played by Smale to the near side and lifted in by Tim Waters. 16,076 disappointed. Flyers come home, had lost at home, and had an unbeaten string of 4 victories and a tie, and they'd played some tough opposition. And off last night's game in Buffalo, you'd expected better. Now Rich Sutter's got Carson in front. Pass, and he shot it wide as he had the open corner. Tried to direct it, but a little bit too much steam, and he angled it open side in the net. Now there's a break. Smale in all alone. Shot, score! Bing! And it's 7-3.
Right off the goalpost and in. You can't pick it any finer than that, as Dougie Smale moving down that right wing side. Being a left-handed shot gives him an awful lot of that net to shoot at. And he just put a perfect shot on Pelle Lindbergh, hitting the goalpost and having it bounce inside the open net. And the Jets have that 4-goal lead with just over 6 minutes remaining. But good shot by Smale to get that shot and get it in off the goalpost. You can't do too much about that. If you can pick that side of the net and do it that fine, you deserve a goal. Smale's 4th of the year.
Steen and Lundholm. Now the Jets come back. They got McLean in front, but the shot from the left side by Mullen hits the side in front to Howard-Chuck. Has the Flyers for the first time this year a bit rattled. Craven over the line. Boom. Taken right out easily on a check by Robert Picard. Puck behind the net. Picard up on the near side to McLean. And the Jets come to center. McLean over the line. Puts it into the slot. Backhand shot. Hit the crossbar. Oh, my. That was a beautiful effort on that far side by Mullen as he bid for the hat trick on a booming backhander. Puck behind the Jet net. Starting ring pass and a shot by Prop. Barron the save. Hackborn throws it in front. Shot by Prop. Hits the other side of the net. In front it comes past Mark Howe. And out comes one Jet. Howard-Chuck trying to turn inside McCrimmon, and taken off by Prop, who gets it up through to Hackborn at center ice. Fights past the check and then is knocked down by McBain, as the Jets have done as good a checking job as we've ever seen them do against Philadelphia. Remember, they beat Boston at home and beat Washington, so there are no slugs. McCrimmon, blue line to blue line. There goes Sinisala down the right side into the zone for Hackborn. Gets a return in that corner, puts it in front. Steered away from Tocchet by Barron. Back to the point. There's a shot. Tipped in by Hackborn. Another shot. Save. Rebound at the side. And it couldn't get it in, Tocchet. As the Flyers battling now for a little bit of self-esteem and honor as they're down 7-3 with just 5 seconds. There's a shot. Score by Sinisalo.
The Flyers that time had good pressure on the Winnipeg Jets in their own zone. Just good dogged forechecking in behind the net. And sooner or later that puck was turned over, and as a result the puck comes out in front of the net with good forechecking by Tocchet in behind, trying to kick that puck loose, kicks it loose. Hackford just dumps it out in front. And Sinisalo is there to make the stop with the skate, then deflect it up top with a stick. But again, forechecking gives results. As a result of it, Sinisalo chimes it up top. The Flyers' 4th goal.
Tocchet and Hackborn the assists on Sinisalo's goal at 14:59. So all the Flyer games this year have been artistic, and they come home and they get thumped in a wide open game that will displease Mike Keenan to no end. Jets go right in after it as they haven't slowed down a whit. Their play now is attacked. Near side to Carson, outlet, right wing to Rich Sutter, long drive from center, and Barron steers it to the near corner as Ron Sutter goes in. Tries to poke it behind the net. Tomas Steen back passes right under the Sutter in the near corner, and Terry Gregson calls a stoppage of play with 4:34 remaining. Jets 7, Flyers 4, and that's a Jet record for goals in a game against Philadelphia. Home or on the road, and now here in Philadelphia.
I think, well, Winnipeg's used to a lot of high-scoring games, is that the division does have good scoring throughout their teams in it. But I think you see right now that they've done an excellent job of checking, and the only one time where they've had really a lot of problems in getting the puck out of their zone is in that last goal by Sinisalo, where they've allowed the Flyers to put too much pressure on. And Barron, of course, has been very, very strong for them. When they have broken down, he's come up with a big save, but hasn't had that many rebound shots to contend with.
Their only other road game was a 7-4 loss at Calgary. Puck cleared into center ice, and the Flyers will go with Zezel, Prop, and Kerr. And defensively, although really it should be offensively, the two defensemen are Hospodar and Crosman, who has the puck on the near side, trying to go through to Zezel. Jets just slap it out to center ice, and now they get a break again. Into the zone on the near side, Wilson tries to go in, stopped by Prop. Prop looks to outlet through, and he's got Kerr up the middle. Right-winging a pass past Zezel. It goes over the Winnipeg line behind the net. Wrap around to the far point by Picard. Gets away with it as Ron Wilson brings it to center ice at the Flyer line. Over skates, pauses, and then will drill it in. And it goes off the back of Gordy Brosiker onto the stick of Zezel. Give and go with Prop through down that right wing side to Kerr. Into the offensive right corner. Babbitt and Kerr both whack at it. And deflects over the glass into the far corner. We'll be back on the radio network in Prism day after tomorrow, Saturday night here at 7:30 with the Minnesota North Stars.
Well, I guess through the course of the season, you're going to have games like this. The Flyers had a big one last night, tying the Sabres 3-3 in Buffalo and coming back home here against the Jets. The Jets currently lead the Flyers 7-4, and the Flyers have not given up 7 goals in any prior games this year. But as I mentioned, through the course of 80 games, you're going to have your ups and downs, especially with a young team. And this is one of these nights that's a down night.
Off my recollection, most visiting goals scored here, Chicago in that 12-0 game in December 30th of 1969. In recent years, it was Vancouver winning here against Pete Peters, 8-4 a couple of years ago.
You know, that game in 1969, Gene, that you're talking about, we were outscored 12-0, but if I recall, we outshot Chicago.
Yeah, 48-36. It was 6-0 in the first 8 minutes. In fact, in the first minute, you went crazy in there, and the Hawks picked up a penalty, and during that penalty, Makita and Jimmy Pappen scored shorthanded. It was 6-0 after 9 minutes. Pavel went out, and Perron played the last 50 and gave up 6 more. 3:30 left. Jets came into this period after a 2-goal second, leading 4-2. Scored 3 of the first 4 goals, broke it open at 7-3. Flyers got one from Sinisalo, but they're still a long way off. Now Hackborn behind the net. Puck goes off to Sinisalo in front, but Tocchet is taken out by Kite, and up ice come the Jets. A wraparound by Mullen, who almost had his 3rd goal on his last shift when his backhander went off the crossbar over the shoulder of Lindbergh. Tocchet back through at the jet line, flips in, rolls in on Behrens. He steers to the near side. Waters with Hackborn. They tie one another up. Puck comes out. Nice play by McLean, but he loses it to Sinisalo behind the net. Tocchet can't collar it. Rolls to the far side where Mullen gives it away at the point. Shot in toward the net, knocked down. The Jets trying to go blue line to blue line and fail, as Horachuk was ahead of the pack. And Lindbergh, who's got to be upset after a brilliant season, has given up 3 in this period. As the Flyers try once and try a second time with 2:28 remaining in this third period to get some action going. Calgary has beaten Detroit. That's the final, 9-5. Boston at home buried Quebec 7-1, and they're in overtime at Montreal. The Islanders and Canadiens tied at 5. Bossy 4 goals, 17 on the year. Now leads Gretzky in that department, and in points 32-30.
Time clock is winding down here. 2 minutes and 17 seconds remaining. The Winnipeg Jets are just comfortable now to sit back in their lead and just make sure they don't turn the puck over in their own zone or make any unnecessary mistakes.
Jets have had 21 shots in the last 2 periods and scored 6 goals. It's a great percentage. Flyers get it back at the point. Thomas Eriksson off to Crosman on the forehand. Way up into the end seats off Tim Waters' stick. So the Jets, who have lost 8 of 9 games here and only won once, 7-6. You remember that game when Willie Lindstrom had 5. Looked like they're going to do it without a 5-goal scorer.
They basically played very sound hockey.
Remember you and I said at the beginning everybody was in euphoria. 6 straight home games. Yep. Money in the bank, and Mike Keenan wasn't that thrilled about it.
Right on target.
Right. Top of the left circle. Craven left. Richie Sutter right with Hackborn centering. Crosman and Thomas Eriksson. And the Jets have Boschman, Lukowicz, and Arneal with Waters and Harrett. Puck down behind the net. Ellett got the game going, scoring a sort of a fluky one from the blue line against Bob Frozen. It never got any better for Philadelphia through the remainder of the evening. They tied at 1, they tied at 2. Jets went up 5-2, and that's been it. Flyers trying to find Craven. It goes back instead to Crosman. Point shot that catches a stick into the right wing corner to Rich Sutter. He drives one in front. Poked away by the defenseman. Back to Crosman. A shot deflected wide. Ron Sutter in front to Craven, and it went right behind the goaltender Behrens and rolled along the goal line, and Craven even thought he had a score. Now Eriksson into the right wing corner. Round behind the net. Loses it to Tomas Steen. And the Jets then work it to the line and come to center ice. Lundholm is bumped off with 1:25. So Barry Long, after finding his Jets embarrassed at home by winless Los Angeles, losing on Friday and tying on Sunday, come east against the big, tough Philadelphia Flyers and blow them out of the Spectrum. We just have 68 seconds remaining in this third period. Kerr mishandles the puck at the Winnipeg line. Flyers get it back. So the Flyers' home streak, it appears, and their overall streak going by the boards, as Lou Nolan says, the last minute of play in the period. But we'll be right back. Radio Network and Prism Saturday with the very exciting and talented Minnesota North Stars. Picard, who really probably got the Jets off to the best possible note in this third period by scoring, sneaking in from the right point, getting a great feed from Horachuk at 23 seconds. And rather than the Flyers coming back, the Jets opened up 3, and it's been their period. They shoot it all the way down the ice. It'll go in on Lindbergh. 25 seconds left. Quiet Spectrum down that right side to Prop, who has scored in his 6th straight game, but that's little consolation. Puck behind the net. Tocchet in front. And the Hackborn shot is blocked. Back to the point, and it's cleared inadvertently by Crosman to center ice with 10 seconds left. And the Flyers are going to go into the soup, my friends. And the New York Islanders, if they win tonight in that overtime game, they didn't. And we come to the end of the game at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. It is the Jets 7 and the Flyers 4. And as we mentioned, Pierre Mondoux in overtime at Montreal gives the Canadiens a 6-5 win over the Islanders, and Philadelphia will remain in first place. Shots in that last period, the Flyers had 14, a game total of 41. The Jets 8, game total of 28. But they scored 3 of the 5 goals. Picard, Lukowicz, and Smale. Consolation for Philadelphia, Craven, and Sinisalo. There were 21 penalties in the game, 11 to the Jets, and thereby lies a tale, as the Jets were 2 for 4 in the advantage. The Flyers 0 for 5. Philadelphia now 0 for 15 over the last 4 games plus. We're going to go down to Lou Nolan now for tonight's 3-star selection.
Ladies and gentlemen, this evening's three-star selection is made by Mark Eichel, sports writer for the Trenton Times. Star number 3 from Winnipeg, Laurie Boschman. Star number 2 from Winnipeg, Brian Mullen. And tonight's first star, also from Winnipeg, Dale Hawerchuk.
So that's the story, and hang on as we'll be back in a moment with Bobby Taylor and tonight's star of the games.
I have this feeling about Dorothy. She's going to be a big star.
They're gonna give me $10,000 for having my picture taken.
Dorothy is every man's fantasy. Sit down. Dorothy, you just can't let him do this to you. You want her, pal? You can have her. You've grown. And he stayed the same. But you're going to have to pay.
Mariel Hemingway, Eric Roberts, star 80.
He's just another guy, an average student. But at night, he knows how to make the grade.
All right, ladies, now here's the spiel about a rocket man called Ricky Goodwill. Ricky Rocket!
Ricky, yes, ma'am. You have a natural gift and you are constantly abusing it.
3, 2, 1, blast off!
I'm 21 years old. I'm doing just what I'm supposed to be doing.
He's a student. He's a lover. He's a boy playing a man's game. A night in heaven.
You look great today.
This is my husband. This is Ricky.
Dancing on the strip circuit.
Yeah, I'm dancing my way through school.
And you're very good at it.
I'll bet.
He was every woman's fantasy. And became one woman's obsession. When the feeling hit them, there was no place hotter than heaven. A night in heaven.
Prism subscribers, have we got a deal for you? Just because you are a Prism subscriber, you can come down to the Spectrum to see the Flyers in action at a very special price. There are 2 game plans, and both are being offered at discount prices only to Prism subscribers. Choose the 5-game or the 10-game series and save up to 35% off the regular ticket cost. We know that Prism subscribers are some of the greatest Flyer fans around, so we're inviting all of you to take advantage of this special offer. Call the Flyers at 215-465-4500 for more information. They've got seats just waiting for you, and at a discount too. At this price, here's the perfect opportunity to take the whole family out to the game. But hurry, these tickets aren't going to last. Call the Flyers now at 215-465-4500 and tell them Prism sent you. See you at the game.
They're one of the NBA's most promising young teams, the Dallas Mavericks. See them clash with the 76ers tomorrow night at 7:30. Mark Aguirre and rookie Sam Perkins lead the Mavs against the Sixers. Tomorrow night, live from the Spectrum, exclusively on Prism.
That's my plane.
No, we'll be quick. Flyers final score, Winnipeg defeats the Philadelphia Flyers 7-4 here at the Spectrum, and our star of the game with 2 goals for the Winnipeg Jets, Brian Mullen. And Brian, as we were talking before we came on, it was a big win for the Winnipeg Jets. This is only the 2nd road game.
Yeah, you know, like I just said, it's a long season ahead of us, and we just came off a loss to Los Angeles Kings, and they took 3 points out of our building, and coming in here and taking 2 points off the Flyers is a big win for us.
Very impressed with the way the team played defensively throughout the game, even though there was 4 goals scored. But that's something that a lot of people out east here anyway don't know the Winnipeg Jets for playing a strong defensive game. Is that something that you've been working on in practice?
Well, not really. We've been working on our power play lately because it hasn't been working. But at the beginning of the year, we have been playing good defense, and we haven't been putting a puck in the net. And finally, we got our breaks tonight, and they went in the net for us.
Well, you said you've been working on the power play. It worked great tonight. 3 power play goals.
Yeah, you know, I think all that work paid off. I think we worked like 3 days in a row just on power play, and it paid off tonight.
Interesting history with you. You were born and raised in New York City, of course, with your brother Joey in St. Louis. Where did you get all the ice time in New York?
Well, there wasn't too much ice time. I played most of my hockey on roller skates and in a roller hockey league in Brooklyn, New York, and in Manhattan. And for most of my life, every day after school, I played roller hockey. And then, I guess when I was about 13 years old, I turned to ice, and we only skated once a week. But I think the roller hockey helped me a lot.
You went to the University of Wisconsin. How did they recruit a guy from the inner city of New York to get out to the Wisconsin?
Well, Lou Vero was coaching the junior national Olympic team. And he came down to New York for a tryout because he was from New York. If you figure maybe one of the kids from New York would make it. And I had a good camp there, and he took me on the team, and Wisconsin seen me, and the Jets seen me too, and that's where I got drafted from.
I guess, were you surprised, or were you, obviously you were happy, but to get in the National Hockey League, was that something you dreamed about when you were a youngster growing up?
Well, before I was, even went to Wisconsin, I was a stick boy for the Rangers for about 2 years. And that's all I ever dreamed about is, playing for the Rangers or just playing in the league. And, it's a dream come true playing here.
And of course, doing very well. Last year, you got over 20 goals, one of 9 Jets that scored 20. Do you set any personal goals throughout the season?
Not really. I just hopefully we'll make the playoffs again this year and get past the first round. That's our biggest goal right now.
Well, this is a tough month of yours. 15 games in 30 days. You got it off to a good foot tonight.
Hopefully we could win a couple more.
Well, Brian, I know you have to catch your plane to get out to Detroit, so thanks for being our guest.
Thank you.
Brian Mullen is our guest and our star of the game, and Getty congratulates him for performing miles ahead of himself today, and he'll receive these Getty gift certificates, so make sure you take your cap off to Getty. While the game summary, the Winnipeg Jets opened up the scoring first. Howe came back to tie it. Then Brian Mullen again gave the Jets the lead. Prop came back to tie it. Then it was all Winnipeg from then on in. Wilson, Mullen again with his second of the night. Robert Picard with very quick power play goal at 23 seconds into the third period. Murray Craven gave the Flyers some hope.